in their new Intuit Dome home. Phoenix's Footprint Center opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. Gold medal winners Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kalia Copper, and the rest of the Mercury resume their WNBA season tonight against the Chicago Sky. The Diamondbacks own the National League's longest current winning streak with 6 consecutive victories. They're out east for the next 9 games starting tomorrow when they battle the Rays. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
Now, your chance at $1,000 and a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword LUCKY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest.
This Friday, face your fear in IMAX. Alien Romulus arrives in theaters. Get tickets now.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
Another hot day.
And I'm getting some drop frames on the Comrex again.
Mostly sunny skies.
Let me fill real quick so you guys can just reconnect.
Around 88. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Tom.
Sponsored by Blue Sky Pest Control.
We will treat your pest.
Blue Sky Pest Control technicians might not be the next boy band, but they can make your pests go bye, bye, bye. Call 602-BLUE-SKY today. Hello, Blue Sky. Goodbye, pest.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, Rock, for my friends at Wright.
Yeah, I'm still getting red. I mean, you guys still sound fine, but
driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and always online at Wright Toyota.
It doesn't sound great. Like, it sounds like you guys are like underwater.
Got to burn
a bad connection.
Sign up now for Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em, brought to you by Blue Moon and Coors Light. It's totally free to play. Win weekly Twin Peaks fan cards and season-long prizes, including $5,000 cash.
Yeah, it's bad. There's a lot of red. This is the most I've ever seen.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top.
Count to 10 for me.
Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito.
It's
tequila of game day.
Life's a sprint.
I'd say it's arable, but it's not perfect. Like it's still going to sound
go meal replacement.
Less than
100%. In the office, enjoying a day on the links, or conquering the daily grind, G2G is your perfect fuel. Score an 8-pack at your local Costco's refrigerated section, or explore amazing flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, and power-packed. G2G protein bars, setting the pace for your energetic lifestyle.
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc
You're live
with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Out here, Diamondbacks on a 6-game winning streak, an 11-4 win over the Colorado Rockies at the playoff hero. The team sent Alec Thomas to AAA yesterday, and the Phoenix Mercury returned from the All-Star and Olympic breaks when they visited the Chicago Sky at Wintrust Arena tonight. Welcome in. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Roc and Jimmy B out. I'm Dan Manuch alongside Jackson Groff as he's filling in as we are out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale, where everybody's out here kind of watching anything and everything and then some. Got a lot of great specials that'll be going on. We'll get into those as well, too. But, folks, don't look now. The Arizona Diamondbacks, since the All-Star break, are 20-5 and have won 6 series in a row. Off day today as they travel to Tampa Bay. Jax, can you say hot? And now, get your seatbelt on. Hands at 10-2. Only 2.5 games back of the vaunted L.A. Dodgers as far as they lead the National League West.
Yeah, they're currently up 1 right now against the Brewers, top of the 7th inning. It's one of those moments, Manuch, where it's like, man, like the D-backs are so hot. Can we have everyone else just lose, but everyone else is hot as well? It's like it's a good fight in the NL West and definitely something you wanted to see. And I was going to touch on earlier, you mentioned Alek Thomas. It's a good feeling for me to get promoted up instead of promoted down like Alek Thomas did today.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one of those things when you watch this team overall, as far as some of the moves that they make, probably frustrated, going to lose a little speed. But you got Blaze coming back up. He'll take over at second base. Ketel Marte, don't know the extent of that injury with the ankle. I think that's a good move from that standpoint, which probably tells us if they're bringing Blaze up that they are pretty much putting emphasis on the infield more than anything. But you look at this team yesterday, they played 4 runs in the bottom of the first. They never looked back. Suarez went 3 for 4, the home run in 5 RBIs. He had the grand slam, while Jock Peterson also drove in a pair of runs. Jordan Montgomery earned his 8th win after striking out 8 and allowing just 3 runs on 5 hits in 6 innings. He's starting to come around. I mean, I think he's been through the ups and downs that I think that we were going to see him coming off of that injury. And I think more so than a lot of people realize, I think between Ryan Nelson and Jordan Montgomery, that might be the guy that they decided who's going to be that 4th guy in the rotation once they make the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at their schedule, they got a series obviously this weekend at Tampa Bay, but I'm looking down the calendar, Manuch. August 30th through September 2nd, that home series against the Dodgers. How big in your eyes, in terms of the NL West, is going to be that series, and how packed will it be here with both LA Dodgers fans and D-backs fans?
Well, D-backs fans, Dodger fans, and also you also look at the last series versus the San Diego Padres. So the Padres are absolutely on fire. So you look at the Padres, you look at this Diamondbacks team, and you think about the standings or where things will be that last week of September. So we got 6 weeks to go for guys to get healthy, for the rotation to get solidified, I feel, as to what and where is Torey Lovello going to go with this team and how they're going to go. So currently you look at you 2.5 back of the Dodgers, but here's what you were reiterating to. When you look at the last 10 games, the D-backs are 9-1, Padres 9-1, the Dodgers at 7-3. Now Mookie Betts is back, so both the Padres and the D-backs are 2.5 back from the outright division leader. So when I go over to the wild card, they're all pretty solid standing. Both the Padres and D-backs are +4, followed by the Braves, who have scuffled a little bit. They've only won 4 out of the last 10. Then you got the Mets, and then you got the San Francisco Giants. Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. The Giants also have a chance, but they're 4.5 back now. So their chances of getting the wild card, probably, I'm going to say, few and far between, unless they go on a hot streak here the last 6 weeks. But on top of that, could you imagine if you had the Dodgers, D-backs, Padres, and if the Giants were to sneak in the back door to have 4 teams out of the National League West in the playoff hunt?
Yeah, it'd be great representation of the division. And you know, I'm a sports betting guru myself, Manuch. I'm looking at the odds currently right now for the playoffs, to make the playoffs for the Diamondbacks. And what's crazy about this is a couple months ago when we were talking on Take the Points on Saturdays about the D-backs having plus money. And for plus 1,000, plus 2,000, it's heavy odds for the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs. Now it's minus $1,800, which means you got to place $1,800, Manuch, to win $100 for the D-backs to make the playoffs.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. So what that tells me is the sportsbooks think that the D-backs are going to make the playoffs, and for D-backs fans, that's all you wanted. We talked about the struggles of the bullpen, and then to be active batting-wise, and it's just completely flipped this last month. And is there any team in baseball that's had a better summer than the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Well, I would think so. It's far. The Padres are probably right there. So again, the National League West, and as we mentioned, with Alek Thomas getting sent down for Blaze Alexander, who's coming up, you got to remember now, Thomas had a clutch game-tying home run during the bottom of the 8th inning of Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. And think about that. He's only hitting 191, 3 home runs, 17 RBI this season. And I really felt when they sent Blaze Alexander down to replace Thomas on the roster, it was like, that was a hard decision for Torey Lovello. He said Blaze was playing good. Utility guy, could play shortstop, play second base, could play third base. But I think all indications are hinting that Ketel Marte might be out more than a week. So they're going to bring his bat and his prowess up as far as that is concerned. So you stop and think about all those things the D-backs are doing right now to make the right moves. And quite frankly, Mike Hazen has done phenomenal with the moves, the power in the lineup throughout the entire lineup, the fielding, the pitching, getting the starting rotation solidified. And then the other thing on top of everything is you're getting your starting rotation going into the 6th inning, going into the 7th inning with a bullpen that was fairly thin the last couple weeks.
So when you look at the D-backs, Manuch, because you're more of a baseball guru and you've been around the D-backs way longer than I have, is there still a weakness that you still say, this team's hot right now, but this is something that can linger and be the Achilles heel for the Diamondbacks?
I don't know if it's a weakness. I think it's more of a decision on who the actual closer is going to be. And I think that with about 2 weeks to go in the season, I think you need everything pretty much solidified. Maybe your rotation, your starting 4. They don't need 6 in the starting rotation. So you got your 4 or 5 lined up. I think the closer role needs to be defined, or I think needs to be solidified. Is that going to be Sewald going to be back there? Is it going to be Puck? Will it be Martinez? Who's that guy going to be? So at that point,
3,
I feel that you can go ahead and get everybody in line. You get the last 2 weeks. You're going to make a run for the National League West, I feel. And at that point, you want to make sure you have all hands on deck and get everybody interested in that routine. And I think that's going to be the wherewithal for this routine. The other thing I think that they will eventually get together is if Ketel Marte is all good to go, everybody's healthy, who are you going to blend in that outfield? Who's going to be that DH? Who's going to be that outfielder? Jake McCarthy, who's on fire. Corbin Carroll, who I feel needs to start picking it up a little bit. You look at his batting average, he's finally up to 220, starting to gain a little momentum. Went for 3 yesterday, plated 2 runs, 2 runs scored. The thing I liked about him, we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago, he had 2 walks. So I think he's more comfortable at watching at the plate, and he seems to be getting more and more comfortable. He's the only other guy I can think of when I think about this Diamondback team, when you answer that question, is who's going to be that group of guys or that rotation they can work with. If Corbin Carroll can get hot or get in the semblance of being more consistent, I think that's one of the other things they're going to be waiting for.
Interesting stuff there, Manuch. They got a big game tonight at the Rays. First pitch is at 350. The odds right now, they are currently favored in that game against the Tampa Bay Rays.
The other thing we'll get into a little bit is how things ended in Paris in reference to the Olympics. We'll catch up with Rick Cord, the sports professor. Also catch up with Ted Robinson, who's now with the CW Network. He will be calling the Oregon State and Washington State games from the Pac-2. Yeah, that's right, the Pac-2. And I'm looking at their schedules last night and this morning going, it's kind of a blend of old Pac-12, Big Ten, Mountain West, somewhat of a hybrid. So we'll catch up with Ted, who for many years was with the Pac-12 Network. Also catch up. We'll have our Twin Peaks competition. We'll have one of the fine Twin Peaks girls at 2:45. You had a chance to call in and have a chance to win a $25 man card. Michael Bankston, Big Bank, catch up with him, get his thoughts. Former defensive end, defensive tackle for the Cardinals on game 1 last week that they lost to as far as New Orleans. Got the Colts, got the joint practices going on. We'll have an update with that as far as that's concerned. And last but not least, we'll catch up with Howard Balzer, who will have all that particular information on how things are going. And Jax, you from a receiving standpoint, we saw a lot of receiver footage. We saw a lot of receiver footage from the Colts, busted coverages. What would you want to get out of something like this as a receiver?
Yeah, I think you want to see guys win reps.
1 minute.
That's the biggest thing. And you saw that with Marvin Harrison Jr., and obviously he got the headlines of it. But I was more impressed with Michael Wilson, the way he attacked the football in those, and for Greg Dortch. Those are kind of the 2 guys that if you're locally in the Valley, you're familiar with, but from a national scale, not a lot of people are familiar with. A guy like Greg Dortch, who was undrafted and cut by multiple teams. Michael Wilson, the injuries he went through, and if he didn't go through those injuries, could have been a first-round pick. So I look for guys to win reps, and like you mentioned, we'll talk about it more in the show, too, the one-on-ones, the pass rush, and just competition. I mean, too, Manuch, even you play anyone but yourself, it's going to put an edge on your team.
A lot of pride in reference to all that.
Exactly.
Hey, bet the game, watch the game, the Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. They have 3 live betting windows and 6 self-service betting kiosks, plus 8 screens displaying all of the betting lines. Check it out for yourself. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Well, it's Thursday. That means we are broadcasting live from one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks. Today it's the Scottsdale Twin Peaks. So take advantage of the 29-degree man-sized drafts. Coming up, it's our Document Solutions Sounds of the Night. This is Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, right here on Fox Sports 910.
Craving a sandwich that packs a punch? Welcome to Knuckle Sandwiches in Mesa. We're not your typical sandwich shop. All our menu items are made in-house using family recipes passed down for generations. Taste the difference in every bite. And we don't stop at sandwiches. Enjoy our mouth-watering breakfast burritos and delicious bagel sandwiches. Plus, we cater all over the valley for your next event. Find us at 1140 North Higley in North Point Village, next to Bashis. Or skip the line and order online at knucklesandwichesaz.com. Knuckle Sandwiches. This is the knuckle sandwich your parents should have given you.
Life's a sprint. Meet G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2Gbar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my superhydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
There are many signs that you may be in financial trouble. Late mortgage payments, paying bills from your retirement account, or paying one credit card with another. If you're experiencing financial hardship, bankruptcy may be right for you. The credit industry wants you to believe that bankruptcy is bad and will destroy your credit forever, but that's just not true. At Lerner & Rowe Law Group, we'll take the time to carefully examine your situation and develop a plan that is right for you. Call Lerner & Rowe Law Group today for a free consultation.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Sean Forster, Managing Attorney. It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101. Time for today's play of the day, courtesy of Document Solutions, leading the valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. Their service can't be copied. 623-252-8282. Now let's get to the play of the day.
We're live. Sound of the night tonight, just one sound. And this Arizona Diamondbacks team is hot. 20-5 since the All-Star break. 6 straight series. And we had talked a bit earlier about a couple of guys that need to pick it up. And Gino Suarez was one of those guys that are just like, okay, sooner or later, they're going to continue to stick with him. And I'm glad that they did, but they had a lot of cachet to kind of, hang in there with him because of his glove. He's an outstanding fielder because of his arm. And they were just very patient with him. As a matter of fact, Torey Lovullo, this is going about a month and a half, had questioned his work ethic. Kind of took a shot across the bow at one Eugenio Suarez in reference to getting prepared for games, making sure that he was prepared, setting pitchers. So a lot of things that really, I thought, have come to fruition for Gino Suarez and came to fruition yesterday in the bottom of the 6th when he went deep for the grand slam versus this team.
Hit well, out to left field, clear the bases. It's a Suarez slam. Notes taken indeed. His 18th of the season, and that is the insurance the D-backs have been looking for.
Third extra base hit in the ball game. Some kind of a changeup that just stayed right out there on the outer third where Gino could extend his arms. 427 feet later, the Diamondbacks take a 10-3 lead.
Thank you, the Arizona Diamondbacks Network. And you watch Gino Suarez again, 3 for 4. He's hot. Batting average at one time, about a month ago, was right around hovering around the Mendoza line, which is about 200. You look at him these last several weeks, and he was hot. He's at 234. On-base percentage of 310. Slugging percentage has really come up, is at 430. So yesterday going 3 for 4, 5 RBI, had the 1 home run. And if there's anything, when I look at this lineup, and I'll even incorporate Blaze Alexander as a guy that's got some pop in the bat. When I look at pretty much 1 through 9 in this lineup, anybody at any particular time can go yard. Even Perdomo So I look at yesterday's lineup with Carroll, McCarthy, Peterson, et cetera, and anytime there's a guy that can run into one and go deep with this team.
Yeah, you got to love having depth for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I thought this quote was interesting from Suarez yesterday. He talking about, him having a big game. He said, it's very fun to come out here, compete. Every time you come in the clubhouse, it's good energy and good vibes. He said that the pitcher made a mistake with the slider, and I was able to put in a play for that. So the slider, is that one of the easier pitches, you would say?
No, if it's hard to hit a slider. It comes in at about 85, 87, just breaks away.
So
it's a hard
was
pitch.
Ready for it.
Yeah, he might have sat on it. He might have had an inkling that's what he was going to throw at certain count, because when they do their forward scouting and they're studying, they have an idea what guys are gonna throw deep in the count. So he was, I don't know if he guessed right or he just saw it or he's starting to recognize, but I think he's starting to recognize pitches. He's having better at bats as far as that's concerned. Is it time for an all-in-one wireless printer with tons of connectivity options? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, 623-252-8282, and get yourself or business a new all-in-one printer. Now, right now, you can buy, lease, or even rent many makes and models that work off your smartphone. So call again, 623-252-8282, 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley, their service can't be copied. As for our good buddy, Greg Haas. Well, on this day, I'm going to go back several years. Remember this very, very well. I was just a young tyke. 55 years ago, in 1969, the Woodstock Music and Art Fair opened for 3, you probably haven't heard this term, groovy days at Max Yausker's farm in Bethel, New York. Over 400,000 people peacefully attended. The folks are some of the outlets that were there as far as performers: Jimi Hendrix, Carlos Santana, Sly and the Family Stone, The Who, The Grateful Dead, Joan Baez, Janis Joplin, Joe Cocker, Mountain, Canned Heat, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and Jefferson Airplane, and Two Bursts also happened. That was that hippie era, the free love era, but the whole thing about that, it was very peaceful. And the other thing that stuck out, it was the rainstorms that they had. So that poor farmer to pretty much clean up that place after it was all said and done was a mess. But those iconic acts that I just rattled off, and it was the first time when you saw the news and the highlights that you saw a lot of these guys like Jimi Hendrix, that Jimi Hendrix had a guitar. He learned how to play the guitar upside down. They didn't make left-handed guitars back in the day, Jax.
Wow.
Yeah, he learned how to play the guitar upside down, and to watch him play it was phenomenal. Now, I also know that Paul McCartney, back in the early mid-'60s, he was a left-hander. He played the bass left-handed. So I don't know if he had all the left-handed guitars or not, since he is left-handed. 27 years ago, 1997, 1 year after Kazam, Shaquille O'Neal returned to the big screen with the release of Steel. And 2 people that saw it couldn't understand a word. I never saw that one.
Me neither.
That one was not in my repertoire.
I think movies is definitely something like Shaquille O'Neal, obviously one of the best NBA players of all time in his position. Great businessman, great analyst. Acting could have been one of his downfalls.
Think of the guys that have done. There's a lot of guys that have done very well, guys and gals that have done well after their pro teams or their pro life. Magic Johnson, a billionaire. Shaq is, if he's not a billionaire, he's close.
Michael Jordan.
You look at Tiger Woods, who's still playing. He's a billionaire. LeBron James, he's up there. But the thing I like about what they're doing is contributing to the community and all the things that they're doing, reference to that. So I can see the royalties on Steel probably not very strong. And lastly, 25 years ago, 1999, 23-year-old, speaking of Tiger Woods won the PGA Championship, becoming the youngest player to win 2 majors since Seve Ballesteros, going way back in 1980. Boy, wouldn't you love to see some of that magic by Tiger now, as opposed to the kind of the banged up Tiger Woods? I don't know if you had a chance to see a lot of him in those 90s. I'd say like even the mid to late 90s when he was hot. He was on fire.
Yeah, that was one of those things, Manuch. I never really grew into watching golf until, honestly, when he won the Masters, and was in 2019 when he came back and won the Masters, until I watched his documentary back. And when you understand the sport of golf, how hard it is to win 1 major, and for him to win 4 majors in a year, it really it puts in perspective the magnitude on how great Tiger Woods
that
really
late
is.
90s, early 2000s era when Tiger was playing, if he was in the hunt, so to speak, maybe 2, 3,
Three.
4, 5 back, you knew on Sunday he had a chance. So you watched. He was must-watch TV. If he was in the final group or one of the final rounds, in the final round, you were watching, okay, he's going to make his move. At any time now, he's going to make his move. So those are on this day, which is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Hey, folks, fantasy football kicks off now through September 5th. If you have the first overall pick, make sure you select Twin Peaks for your fantasy football draft party. Stay cool under pressure with 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, plus a $50 bonus card for the commish and an additional $5 bonus card for every drafter. All you have to do is just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com. That's twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more info. Let me give that to you again because it's a great place to come in here for your draft party. twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more info. Well, the NBA schedule's out. Woohoo! It's kind of like, I don't know, I always refer to the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin's first big hit when he said, hey, the phone books are here. The new phone books are here, as silly as that is. Everybody's kind of anxious to see where this Phoenix Suns team, who they start out with, and who they're with. So, Jax, let's take a quick glance at this Phoenix Suns schedule, at least the first half, if you will.
Yeah, so the first game is on October 23rd. And something to note before I dive into this, the season obviously starts in October. The Suns have the hardest schedule in October and November. So I think it's interesting. They're the hardest, followed by the Clippers, Mavericks, Warriors, and Thunder. So that team chemistry is definitely have to, get things rolling.
They better get their groove on early on, Jax, what you're telling me.
Wednesday, October 23rd, they go at the Clippers, which the Clippers now without Paul George look very interesting. Okay. 2 nights later, they're going to go at the Lakers. Their first home game is that Saturday, October 26th, home against the Dallas Mavericks, followed by a Monday matchup home against the Lakers.
Wow, so
you play the Lakers twice in the first 4 games. You play the Clippers twice in the first 5 games.
I will say this: not that you got 82 game schedule, right? Not to make a lot out of the first couple 2 or 3 weeks. And for me, I kind of watched that, but that's kind of a murderer's row. And your first home game against the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, Dallas Mavericks on October 26th. October 18th, the Lakers at home. You go down the list for home games. November 2nd, you play home against the Portland Trail Blazers.
Hey, Mike Budenholzer, head coach, guess what?
Yeah, November 4th even, you play
1 minute.
76ers at home, the Heat on November 6th. And then you scroll down towards the end of November. You got to play games at Sacramento. Look at this stretch, Manuch. At Utah, November 12th. At Sacramento, November 13th. At OKC, November 15th. At Minnesota, November 17th, home against Orlando, home against the Knicks, home against LA Lakers. What a stretch of games.
I got to tell you, the Western Conference is going to be packed. Hey, real quick, our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day for a free quote, repair, or installation. Head to state48roofing.com and follow them on social media by searching #SexyRoofStatus. Who do you want to see as the Cardinals' backup quarterback? Just go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. You want to see Clayton Tune, Desmond Ritter, or bring in a veteran? Again, Clayton Tune, Desmond Ritter, or do you want to bring in a veteran? So, again, just go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. Get your vote in, and we'll take a good hard look at that from that standpoint. Well, coming up, we'll catch up with Rick Curl. He's a sports professor. We'll get a final look as far as the economic impact of Paris. And there's a lot of things going on that were behind the scenes in Gay Perry. We'll catch up. Rick Curl joining us next as we're out here at the Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B right here on Fox Sports 910 and now on 99.9 HD3.
This is what's trending on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix.
The Cardinals return to the field for the second joint practice with the Colts heading into Saturday's preseason contest. The NBA released its complete 24-25 season schedule. The Suns begin their campaign October 23rd on the road to help the Clippers christen their new Intuit Dome home. Phoenix's Footprint Center opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. Gold medal winners Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kalia Copper, and the rest of the Mercury resume their WNBA season tonight against Chicago. The D-backs own the NL's longest current win streak with 6 consecutive victories. They're out east for the next 9 starting tomorrow against the Rays. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910. Available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
Attention drivers, your safety matters. All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing storage services contractor, proudly sponsors the Move Over Law. When you see flashing lights, remember to move over and slow down. Together, we can protect our roadside heroes. Drive safe, Arizona. Sponsored by All City Towing.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. Monsoon season is upon us. Be proactive today. Go to state48roofing.com. Scan the QR code below. We want to take care of you. Be proactive. Get your maintenance done. We are home of the hashtag sexy roof status.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is always adding exciting cocktails to the menu, like the expertly balanced Sincoro Hall of Fame Margarita. Try it at your local lodge today.
You met with the stable boy despite your father's orders. He hoisted you onto the saddle and you wrapped your arms around him, embracing his silent strength. He lay you down amongst the wildflowers. You experienced love like never before. While you were buying dish soap. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover heart-stopping romance titles on Audible.
Sarah Spain with iHeart Women's Sports, presented by Capital One. Paris gold medalist Nafisa Collier and her Minnesota Lynx take on the Washington Mystics at 8 Eastern tonight as the WNBA season starts up again after the Olympic break. Collier has been a huge piece of the Lynx' success, averaging 20 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game. She missed time at the end of the first half of the season with a foot injury, but is expected back healthy post-Olympics. For more women's sports stories, subscribe to Good Game with Sarah Spain on iHeart Podcasts.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101.
All right, I got him. He's ready.
Time to talk about the business side of sports. Leading expert in the business of sports. Author of the new bestseller, The Sport Business Handbook. Host of Power of Sports and architect of over 100 deals worth billions in sports. The sports professor, Rick Horrow, joins Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910.
As he always does every Thursday, Rick Horrow, this sports professor, joining us here on the right to the guest side. Rick, it's Manuch and Jax. Roc is off doing those duties at the Fiesta Bowl, at the luncheon, you know, kind of being that big deal with the yellow jacket, getting the year set up. And then Jimmy B, we actually gave him a day off, and he's out there. So you got us to kind of break down this sports business world, if you will.
Thank God. You know, he's not listening, so I can actually unload on Roc and tell you what a loser he really is. But that's okay. That's we don't have to deal with that. Wait. It's August. What are you guys doing with the Fiesta Bowl luncheon? Are you allocating parking spaces?
Well,
is that what you're doing?
Well, they're going to honor a lot of the high school athletes that are the pre, if you will, accolades. They're going to talk about the season. They got one Larry Fitzgerald speaking at the event. I'm surprised you've never been invited to this bad boy to be like the speaker to talk about all things playoff bound.
Let me tell you something. With all of the agita and all of the time that I spent with you guys, I deserve an invitation. When Roc gets back, tell him he and I need to talk.
We definitely do.
That's all. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you've had a chance to decompress and kind of look back at the Olympics. I read through your newsletter, a lot of Olympic heavy topics that are looking at. But when you come home, you sit back, you kind of go through all the things you've had. What's the one thing in particular that sticks out as a pro? And one thing in particular sticks out as one of the cons for the Olympics this last year.
Well, the pro is that Paris has definitely raised the bar for LA and all the things that are going to be happening in LA. I don't know if you knew this, but LA obviously is going to pick up on the Paris theme of the Legacy Olympics, not having to spend a lot of money, including the fact, a little known fact, I don't know if it's public yet in your neck of the woods, but you know where the whitewater canoeing and and boating and all are going to be held in the LA Olympics. Also, softball. Where do you think both of those are held in the same city? Where do you think it'll be?
I know softball's big in the Midwest.
Is softball Oklahoma City?
Is it Oklahoma City? Is that what we heard?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't know that. That's a scoop for you guys.
Okay.
Although you look it up, it has received a lot of publicity. But the mayor of Oklahoma City was in LA, and we talked a little bit about that. So the games in LA are not. They have 4 years to figure it out. And the handoff was pretty interesting. The Tom Cruise motorcycle, jetting down, handing it to Snoop, having Billie Eilish on the beach. That's all right. Now the fun starts, because now they really got to allocate tickets. They got to build a facility. They got to convert facilities, and on and on. So I think that's definitely a pro. The con in not a whole lot of cons. The kind of new sports. There's been a breaking controversy. I'm not sure that sport went as well as people had planned. No baseball, no softball. They'll bring it back in 28. But when I was there, I was looking around for baseball and softball. It's amazing how the sports are totally off the grid when they're not part of the event. They'll come back quickly, but that was one of the cons.
The other thing too is that you talk about the record-breaking Olympic Games. On the field, we get it, but off the field, somewhat defined for our listener. Off the field, all the intangibles that we didn't see that were also record-breaking.
Yeah, I mean the 40,000 volunteers and the 25,000 security folks and the countless hours of television. The other piece of this was the NBC's win because not only did they capture a golden Saturday and Sunday with women's soccer and men's basketball, and then women's basketball the next day, 60% higher viewership than Tokyo. But the other issue about this all is that you had a real significant opportunity to showcase the world with all the viewers, and the Peacock simulcast, the Gold Zone, all of that really didn't disappoint.
He's Rick Croy. He's a sports professor joining us here on Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B here on the right to the guest line. You can tweet him at Rick Coral. The one thing that I guess we forget about is social media. And the most influential athletes on Instagram, I can only imagine, were like 90% of them the USA basketball team.
Yeah, basically LeBron and then everybody else. And then Steph Curry, deservedly, and everybody else. Simone Biles got stuck in the middle of that. There was an extreme skater and influencer there too. But then you had Embiid and you had some of the other basketball players in the top 20. I think it was like 11 of the top 20 were all former NBA players. And that just speaks to the dominance of how the NBA has, focused on all this stuff now. And frankly, the games began with a bang from my perspective and ended with even a bigger one.
And you talked about LA in reference to having all of the events spread out. I want to know, where's this public transportation going to be coming from, is what the mayor was talking about, I guess, at the closing. I don't even know what they have. What kind of, besides buses? There's no subways. Do they have a tram or anything like that? Where's that going to develop all of a sudden in reference to getting people to and fro with the backup that is called the LA Grid backups?
They're building a subway. They're starting tomorrow, if you knew that. But they're gonna deep underground, and they're gonna see what we can do. It is an issue, obviously. We can't be flipped with this because we've all been stuck in LA traffic. And I got to tell you, the Paris traffic was expected to be a nightmare. They had these presidential lanes, is what they call them. So the two left-hand lanes of any express system were scantily traveled, but they were for us VIPs. And the police, and the athletes, and the sponsors, and the volunteers, and then the normal pedestrian Parisians were over in the right lanes. It did my soul good to whiz by those Parisians on the way to the events and watch them curse me. It was great.
Rick, what's the latest that you've been hearing with the PGA Tour and Live Golf? I know Jay Monahan came out and said that they're still in a good place with Live Golf despite a lack of a deal. What have you been hearing, and Do you expect it to be done in 2025, or is it going to take longer than people expect?
Well, the devil has always been in the details, and we always remember how important it was when Jay Monahan and the Wealth Fund out of nowhere started hugging in the middle of last summer. And where were the details? Well, they weren't there. And so now the issue is, what are the sponsorship dollars going to look like for all of the events next year as the schedule happens? We're starting to wind down with the FedEx Cup. The majors are over. And most people are hoping that the December 2023 deadline really becomes a December 2024 deadline, and they can really get the deal done.
Well, on top of that, it looks like the FedEx Cup playoffs will offer a record $100 million in bonus money, Rick. I mean, is that to combat anybody else from moving on to live? I mean, this is big money. And the other question I have for you is, why are some of the PGA players having a little heartburn with this playoff situation?
Well, it's all about, the money is now much bigger than anybody thought. So some of the players, I think, whether they say it or not, are thinking, man, I wish I knew then what I know now. I might have been trying a little harder to get up a little higher in the FedEx Cup standings. Well, that's your problem. You should play all these events like the money is all yours and you need to get it. So it is a big injection of capital, and obviously it's to keep players from defecting. And look what happened. I mean, Greg, Norman, when he originally started talking about this with Fox years ago, said the one thing I guarantee is this will mean more money for all these players no matter what happens. And you got to admit, he's right.
Rick, what was your initial reaction when you saw the U.S. men's soccer team getting a new head coach today? I want to pronounce his name, but I feel like you have a better...
Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino. A little Italian flavor there.
Captain C.
Yeah.
Captain C. Well, maybe the guy will inject a little bit of European flavor, because the American flavor wasn't doing too well. And, the whole out of the World Cup and then the Olympics were a bomb. And whether this is the right guy or not, change is more important than anything else right now. And they really did need change.
Well, Rick, when you're over there, you're in Europe, you're all over the place talking about men's soccer per se. What is the issue? Because, my daughter, who's a former soccer player, she follows it. She goes, Dad, they're talented. They just don't play together. They don't know their roles. I mean, she went on and on and on. But what do you hear in reference to what the main issues are for men's soccer?
Well, and, that's a very valid argument she makes. But on the other hand, these teams who are the national teams come together for the Olympics with a very short period of time. Most of these national players are club players who make a lot more money for their respective Real Madrids and Barcelonas, but then they put the national flag on and they adjust to their roles pretty quickly. It may be just the culture of soccer takes a little longer. That's a built-in excuse that's lazy, and I don't particularly like that excuse. But you tell your daughter to come up with some legitimate reason, because nobody has one, and that's part of the problem. So maybe you look across the pond for some leadership, and maybe this is the right answer.
Hey, thank God, hallelujah for this. It looks like the White Sox are going to reduce their season ticket prices for the 2025 season after this horrible year by 10%. And invoices will go out for season ticket holders. This is an anomaly, I think, Rick. Will we see this more often with other teams that really suck during the regular season? But is this when's the last time you can think of a team reducing their ticket prices the following year as bad as they were the previous year?
Well, it's an anomaly for everybody else in the league that says, they were so bad that maybe we can get away with putting that in as an outlier, because we as owners don't want to be in a position of any time we're under 500, we automatically reduce the ticket prices the next year. Hadn't worked that way. And I'm not sure that the system is built that way. But
I know that
the White Sox are.
They choke you up a little bit, don't they?
2 minutes.
Listen, I got to tell you, I was a White Sox fan before, but now it makes me sick. Is that better? As if I'm cute. They are historically bad. They're the worst team in the league. Just thinking about them makes me cough.
Last question for you, Rick. Going back to the Olympics, what was your favorite moment when you were there? Either moment, event that you attended that will stick out for the 2024
Sounds
Olympics?
like when you're driving by all those Parisians, going right by them.
That's one. The other is being basically pad side, vault side, to see Simone Biles win the gold. The other one was to be near the start-finish line to see the Lyles 100 versus the other four guys in 5/100ths of a second. That was unbelievable. Those two were kind of the highlights. Everything else was wonderful events: handball, gymnastics, badminton. Watching badminton was unbelievable. All of that stuff was really fun. But those two, and Katie Ledecky winning her 14th. That was big.
Rick,
right there.
I always appreciate your time. Sorry we had to talk about the White Sox. You get choked up with that. I will leave that topic alone.
Oh my God! And then Jerry Reinsdorf says, "Threaten to move." By the way, bye. See you later. Maybe we get another team.
Rick, we appreciate it. That's Rick Cora. Just go to @RickCora on Twitter. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Oh, that's great. You know what?
He got choked up
bad. Yeah, it's the White Sox. I mean, they'll do it to anybody. Hey, join the team at the largest towing company in the state, All City Towing. They are hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, and customer service personnel. Enjoy benefits like the state's most advanced towing equipment, set work schedule, a healthy 401k employer match, healthy benefits, employer-paid life insurance, and a monthly fuel allowance. So ready to take your career to the next level? Visit them at allcitytowing.com. That's allcitytowing.com. All City Towing, where your future is on the move. And folks, we got another great contest for you. College football is here. We're gearing up for the epic 12-game playoff. So you think you can predict all 12 teams and win $1,000, or dare to predict a chance to snag $10,000? And listen to this. You get it all right, including the champion. You can win a whopping $20,000. That's right, $20,000. So join Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B's 12-team college football predictor game presented by Lerner & Rowe and Wright Toyota. Now, the first 1,000 people to enter at rockandmanuch.com. Don't miss your shot. That's right, just 1,000 people. Now, the deadline is Thursday, August 29th. And again, enter now at rockandmanuch.com, rockandmanuch.com, where you have a chance to win $20,000. Well, coming up next, it's our Football 50 presented by G2G Protein Bars. Next, it's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale.
Win your way clear 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One. September 20th and 21st.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Keep listening for your next chance to be there.
Sponsored by Redbird Farms Chicken. Turn up the flavor with Redbird Farms Chicken. Available at your local grocer. Our chicken is juicy, tender, and delicious. Just like the iHeartRadio Music Festival, our chicken hits all the right notes and brings people together. Redbird Farms Chicken. What real chicken tastes like.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com. That's venezias.com. Venezia's, a family and catering tradition.
Get ready to turn heads with Arizona Color Vehicle Wraps, the original vehicle wrap shop. Your one-stop shop for business branding, vehicle wraps, and graphics. Our in-house graphic design team specializes in everything from food trucks to business fleets, RVs, cargo trailers, and side-by-sides. Ready to elevate your brand? Call Arizona Color Vehicle Wraps at 623-580-7386 or get a quick quote online at arizonacolorwraps.com. One call wraps it all.
Buying a new car might make you say, I can't believe it.
Seriously, it's ours? Is this real life?
But what you really need to say is, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there to help you choose the coverage you need.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
With Popeye's $6.99 Big Box, you can have 2 pieces of chicken or 3 chicken tenders with 2 regular sides and a biscuit. Or with our $20 Bigger Box, you get 10 pieces of chicken or 10 chicken tenders with 4 biscuits to feed your whole crew. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
It's a Throwback Thursday, and the guys are live from one of the 5 Twin Peaks locations. Now let's throw it back to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
You're live.
Let's get ready for football! It's football at 50. The latest top football story trending this hour. Right here with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeart Radio app.
Football presented by G2G Protein Bars. A lot going on in the National Football League. I would say some decent news coming out of Buffalo, maybe for the Arizona Cardinals as they get set to have their opening game in Buffalo. Buffalo losing a huge part of their defense, Jax.
Yeah, their defense already slim as a bunch of guys in the secondary had to go other places to, save cap space. But Matt Milano suffered a torn biceps injury during Tuesday's practice. He's been in the starting linebacker for the Bills for a count of years. He's going to be out indefinitely, will undergo surgery in hopes of possibly returning in December. But Manuch, a torn bicep, especially a guy like a linebacker who is engaged in blocks, makes tackles. That's a tough injury for the Buffalo Bills.
I'd be surprised if he comes back at all. I mean, if they make the playoffs, he might be ready for the playoffs. You think about that, it's almost thinking 3-4 months away, but that's a huge blow. Milano, I feel, is one of the best linebackers in the game of football. I think of Fred Warner. I think of Matt Milano. There's a couple that escape my mind right now, but I think
Roquan Smith.
I mean, there's guys that are just guys. They're the dudes. They're the heart and soul of that defense. So for a lot of Buffalo Bill fans relying on, to your point, Jax, a very thin defense since they lost a lot of their stalwarts in the secondary, lose one Matt Milano, a big blow for the Bills.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of holdouts going on in camp, and one of the guys, an older vet, edge rusher, Matt Judon's been holding out for all of training camp. The Patriots said, you know what, we don't want to get a deal with you. You're 32 years old, coming off of an injury. And he's been traded to the Falcons for a 2025 third-round pick. And to be honest, Manuch, I think the Patriots getting a third-round pick is a win for them. That's a win. That's a pick that they can use to get another pass rusher in next year's draft. But you look at the Falcons, they get an edge rusher who's talented, and he's a veteran. On top of that, they just signed Justin Simmons, the 4-time All-Pro safety, to a 1-year, $8 million deal. So you got an All-Pro safety and an All-Pro edge rusher coming into this defense with D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans.
I think Mr. Blank is serious about this. You got your quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Got a brand new head coach.
Head coach Raheem Morris, not D'Amico Ryans.
That's right. So you look at, I think what he's probably like, look, we're on the cusp of at least having an opportunity before he moves on in life. He's in his early, mid-80s. He wants to start making those moves. And I love this move. Now, the key is that Judon and the Falcons have not hammered out a contract for next year, but they plan to because they've freed up some money against the salary cap by restructuring the contract of Pro Bowl guard Chris Lindstrom. So moving part of his $12.5 million salary into a signing bonus, which frees that money up so Judon can get a deal done. I think it's very interesting. You make a trade, and there's really the financial piece of this isn't really set in stone. And the extension, at least, isn't set in stone.
Yeah, and that's another guy, Hassan Reddick, who's requesting a trade. And I know the Arizona Cardinals fans want him to come back too. But that's a guy, if he comes to the Arizona Cardinals, he's going to want a contract. Do the Cardinals have enough money, and do they have the requirements to go out and get Hassan Reddick? We'll have to see if they do inquire in that deal. Another guy holding out, Jamar Chase, talented wide receiver of the Bengals. You could argue top 5 wide receiver in the league. He's been holding out and been absent for a while for training camping. And according to reports, Manuch, things are not going well between the two sides. And I know last year with T. Higgins,
2 minutes,
they were in the contract negotiations, and that's one thing as the wide receiver too. But you got to pay Jamar Chase, especially being a former wide receiver of LSU. They've got the connection with him and Joe Burrow.
The one thing you think about, the franchise tag was all set. So Tuesday he decides not to show up. He decides, well, I guess I really don't want to be that guy. I want to get my money. So he hasn't showed up. Here's the other thing that's very interesting, folks. We're talking about he's a holdout, but the hold-in mystery right now is Brandon Ayuk and this supposed trade, the deal they got worked out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Folks, this thing is still in limbo, and last time I checked, Jax, I haven't seen anything whether he's made up his mind to go ahead and sign off on the deal or not. Now, what threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into this was the Niners came back and said, well, before we do it, how about if we offer you this extension? So they put an offer on the table. Besides the trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers, God knows how many other teams have probably called John Lynch and inquired about maybe trading. So, folks, this thing is in limbo. He has been, that being Brandon Ayuk, he's been in practices. He has not dressed up, but he's out there. So they're just kind of waiting for him and his people to make a decision. What do you want to do here? This is like the great mystery of training camp. And you just wonder, not that the Niners would do this on purpose, Cowboys might, to make this the drama or make that PR stuff that they're working on.
Yeah, I think this is a move the 49ers got to get done. I know John Lynch is probably sick and tired of negotiating with Brandon Ayuk and his agent, but you look at both sides. The 49ers, if they do lose Brandon Ayuk, you got Deebo Samuel, who's injured probably every single year. You got to count on a first-round talent in Ricky Pierce to be that number one or number two, especially week one against Sauce Gardner. It's going to be tough. And then I'm surprised, too, Manuch, that they've agreed to a deal with the Steelers because you would think, I know there's rumors out there with the Browns trading Amari Cooper to get a wide receiver in return. The Steelers don't have much receivers.
Football 50 this hour, courtesy of Twin Peaks, their fantasy football kickoff now through September 5th. If you're the first overall pick, make your selection at Twin Peaks for your fantasy football draft party. Stay cool under pressure with 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, plus $50 bonus card for the commish, an additional $5 bonus card for every drafter. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more information. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll get you all caught up on all the top stories. Ted Robinson from the CW Network. All that much more coming up with Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale.
Clear.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B has been sponsored by On Air.
Lerner & Rowe is named the second most influential law firm in the United States. Although we have offices in other parts of the country, Glenn and I both live here and raise our families here. We are your local law firm. No other law firm in the state comes close to the experience, reputation, and results as Lerner & Rowe. When you're hurt in a wreck and need a check, call the law firm that can get you the results you need. Call Lerner & Rowe.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites.
Don't miss our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival presented by Capital One.
Las Vegas, are you having a good time?
Friday and Saturday, September 20th and 21st. Streaming live only on Hulu.
iHeartRadio, let's go!
Get tickets now at AXS.com.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Get in on all the UFC 305 action live from the land down under at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. The middleweight title's on the line for the main event, but the card is stacked, full of rip-snorter blokes and Sheilas, money lines, parlays, props, live bets, and so much more. The betting options feel endless on DraftKings. And speaking of stacked, if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code 910. That's code 910 for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. UFC 305. It's going to be a ripper of a good time. Only on DraftKings, The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus, Arizona only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at dkng.co/MMA.
Fall's coming. You have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve, so this fall make a plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Broadcasting from the Raffi Law Group Studios. This is KGME Phoenix, KDSC HD3 Phoenix. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports talk, podcasts, and music. Free never sounded so good.
The D-backs own the National League's longest current winning streak with 6 consecutive victories. They're out east for the next 9, starting tomorrow against the Rays. The Cardinals return to the field for the second joint practice with the Colts, heading into Saturday's preseason game. The NBA released its complete season schedule. The Suns begin their campaign October 23rd on the road to help the Clippers christen their new Intuit Dome home. Phoenix's Footprint Center opener is the 26th when they take on the Mavericks. And the Mercury resume their WNBA season tonight when they take on the Chicago Sky. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
This Friday, face your fear in IMAX. Alien Romulus arrives in theaters. Get tickets now.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
Another hot day with temperatures right around 110 degrees for your Thursday. Mostly sunny skies. We'll continue with those clear skies as we head into the evening hours with those overnight lows right around 88. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Ty Brennan.
This report is sponsored by ADOT's Broadway Curve Improvement Project. I-10 Broadway Curve Project is in the works. It's an 11-mile stretch of Interstate 10 between Loop 202 and I-17. Plan for impacts this month on State Route 143, I-10, and US 60. Download the free Curve app for construction updates and detours.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B is sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing. It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101. Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing. And is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. On Fox Sports 910.
You're live.
Yeah, welcome to hour number 2. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Dan Manucci alongside Jackson Robb. Rock is out. Jimmy B on vacation. Hope you're having a great Thursday afternoon. We are out here at the Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. Frank Lloyd Wright and the 101. So stop up by and say hi. A lot going on this hour. We'll get a chance to pitch up with Tim Robinson, former play-by-play voice for the Pac-12 Network, now with CW. We'll catch up with him at the bottom of the hour. He will be doing, it sounds like, all the home games of Oregon State and Washington State from the Pac-2. And looking at some of their schedules, we'll break down, folks. It is a cornucopia of individual teams from the Big Ten, the old Pac-12, the Big 12. It's kind of a hodgepodge of scheduling for both Oregon State and Washington State. So Ted Robinson will join us. Also, the old Notre Damer will get his thoughts on his team being in the top 10. And then as we do each and every Thursday out here at Twin Peaks, you'll have a chance to win a $25 man card as you'll take on one of the lovely servers for our Twin Peaks picks. But Josh is going to be in a scenario where he'll be out there and making all those things happen, and we're going to be out here until 4 o'clock. So you look at the landscape of baseball right now. Now, Aaron Judge could be the fastest Major League player to reach 300 home runs, is now become that fastest player. And you look at all the things in one Aaron Judge and what he's been doing. He's got his 3-1 blast in the 8th inning on Wednesday's game with the Chicago White Sox, made him the fastest player in Major League history to reach 300 career home runs. Now, Judge's 300th home run came in the 955th game of his career, beating the previous record by Pirates Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner. Now, we're going way back. New York has won back-to-back games, remained first in the American League East. Now, we had this discussion a little bit yesterday with Chris Schubert, who's off today. We got Richie back there, man in the fort at the iHeartRadio studios. He's kind of our baseball aficionado. He did his Around the Diamond report, which you do every Wednesday at 3:15. We said, okay, how soon before he gets to 60, 65 home runs? His contention was they will start pitching around Aaron Judge, which is sad to say, much like they did with Barry Bonds.
I mean, he's such a dynamic player. I mean, you look at the last couple of games to have 2 home runs in his last 3 or 4 outings. Like, I mean, I don't blame other teams for pitching around him, but also at the same time, you want to see history met, especially in a big city like the Yankees, who are one of the hottest teams, like we mentioned.
But you want
earlier.
to see a guy, I call it legitimate single-season home run champ. You look at Barry Bonds with the asterisk by it, but as big as he is and as strong as he is, you would hope that maybe he runs into one, but if they're going to start pitching around him, how much he adjusts to taking home runs to right field. I mean, he can take a home run to any field. But I think from that, it would be for a baseball fan, it would be a disservice to see them pitching around him.
Oh, and then as a fan, don't you want to be the guy that catches that baseball?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, if you're obviously you give it back to Aaron Judge, but what comes with it, season tickets with the Yankees or money or an autographed jersey and stuff like that too, that's got to go up for something if you catch the 300 home run.
This is interesting. We kind of dive into a lot of the billionaire owners or billionaires when they develop their homes. Well, this is very interesting. A Brewers owner, Mark Attanasio, is accused of stealing sand from Malibu's Broad Beach, as they call it. And it's interesting because I guess you got to have the permits and all this kind of thing. Listen to this news report by KTLA in reference to him stealing sand or allegedly stealing sand to help develop his wall of his multi-million-dollar home.
A billionaire businessman in Malibu is being sued for allegedly stealing sand. A lawsuit filed by a neighbor accuses Mark Attanasio of using excavators to relocate sand from Broad Beach to his house as part of a construction project. Attanasio is the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers. The lawsuit also says the construction project has restricted public beach access and exposed marine life to hazardous waste. Attanasio's lawyer argues his client's construction company has been compliant with all of its permits.
Again, that's from KTLA. That's the news report from last night. I sit there and think, okay, this is a billionaire, right?
That's just so weird.
You can't bring your own sand in. You got to take it from the beach.
You can't even get some expensive sand that maybe looks or replicates the Malibu. I mean, that's just weird, Manuch. Why would you go out there and just steal sand?
And aren't beaches considered part of the national parks or part of the, part of the city, whatever, to take that sand from the beach? Because usually it's landfills or you get your own sand. So, yeah, you got a billionaire allegedly stealing the sand from Malibu Beach in reference to that making it happen. Hey, our random fact of the day, the ACC finished the Paris Olympics with 98 total medals, closing out the games as the conference with the most medalists and the highest number of gold medals. So the ACC conference is the winner.
Part of that's got to do with Stanford. Well, let's put that in the notes. I saw the ACC.
I see what you did
I
there.
saw the ACC tweet out, congrats, Katie Ledecky, representing Stanford for winning the medals. It's like, okay, I get that, but you can't claim her because she never was on Stanford when they were in the ACC conference.
There you go, Jax. The devil's in the details. I didn't even think about that. I would not think of them being part of the ACC until actually the season starts. But they're officially part of the ACC when you think of the Stanfords of the world and making all those things happen from that standpoint. Well, the Phoenix Suns schedule is out. A lot of folks anxious to see who they start with. A lot of folks curious to say, okay, what's the first half of the season going to be? My whole thing is I pay attention to the Suns, love watching the Suns. But I'm looking at, before you get into the schedule there, Jags, Christmas Day. That Christmas Day, there's, I think, 4 or 5 games that'll be going on. That's when I really start to hone in on the NBA and in reference to what this Phoenix Suns team is going to do.
Yeah, so you look at the Christmas Day schedule, like you mentioned. Christmas Day, it's crazy how growing up, NBA was number one with the jerseys and stuff like that. And now with the NFL coming into intact, and them kudos to the NFL for having so many marquee games, and now with Netflix and stuff like that too. The NBA is kind of on the back burner, but there are some intriguing matchups for Christmas Day, including the Nuggets at the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be 7:30 p.m. here locally. The Lakers at Warriors, 76ers at Celtics, T-Wolves at Mavericks, and the Spurs at the Knicks.
It's a hell of an opening week.
Day. On top of that, the Phoenix Suns have 4 or 3 other holiday games, including on Halloween. They'll be playing at the Clippers. New Year's Eve, they'll be playing home against the Memphis Grizzlies. And MLK Day, they'll be playing at the Cavaliers. On top of that, the Phoenix Suns have 30 nationally televised games, which is good to see the Phoenix Suns, build up and get more nationally
the
televised
big three
games.
right there. And I think with Mike Budenholzer being the head coach, that offers the cachet that I think the Suns are going to need and for folks to watch. I think when you look at this start, the first 2 weeks, and going against Western Conference rivals, and literally rivals, Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, your first home game, it's kind of must-watch TV. And to see how this Suns team gets out to shoot with Mike Budenholzer's philosophy, and can the big three correct all the wrongs, make all the wrongs that we saw last year.
Yeah, they've got the toughest schedule in October and November. The Phoenix Suns do. And like you mentioned, they open up at the Clippers, at Lakers. Their first home game's October 26th against the Mavericks. 2 days later, they play the Los Angeles Lakers. And you go back to L.A. on October 31st. So you play the Clippers and Lakers twice apiece in your first 5 games. You start to get November is when you start to play some of those Eastern Conference games. You got a home game November 4th against the Sixers, followed by a home game against the Miami Heat. Then you get to the bottom end of November. This is where the hard part of the schedule starts to get a little interesting. November 13th, November 12th, you go at Utah. November 13th, at Sacramento Kings. November 15th, at OKC. November 17th, at Minnesota. And then you come back home against Orlando, New York Knicks, and, oh, yes, again, the Los Angeles Lakers for a third time in 2 months. You'll be playing the Lakers.
Yeah, you know what? I love it. I mean, because I think you're going to get battle-tested. This Suns team is going to get battle-tested from the get-go. But I don't think there's going to be any weak sisters per se. You look at the top 8 to 10 teams in the Western Conference there, Jax. I think that this all throughout. And then the other thing I want to just take a quick look at the bottom half of the schedule. And in April, I think that they may have some tough sledding in April as well, too. I'm curious to see what that season, let's say the last 2 or 3 weeks, because at that point, I think as far as seeding is concerned, that's going to be hopefully a big plus for the Suns, or it can be very difficult for the Suns.
Yeah, so you look at the month of April. April 1st, you go at Milwaukee, followed by at Boston, at the New York Knicks. So right there, the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference. Home game against Golden State, home game against OKC and the Spurs, and then you finish up at Sacramento. So it's going to be a tough end of the season. I'm looking at the middle of their season around December and January. That's where I think you can start to rack up some wins with multiple games against the Wizards, the Pistons, the Nets, and Atlanta. So I think that's going to be the middle there. But you're right, Manuch. We're going to know a lot about this team early on with the toughest schedule in the league, and then they've also got a very tough stretch March and April.
Boy, those are some – talk about a start, talk about a finish. So hopefully this Phoenix Suns team will have the depth and will have the coordination, communication, and I quite frankly feel, Jack's, the chemistry to handle a lot of those games. And fortunately, I think the other thing too is when you look at that, there's a day or two in between. I don't see a lot of back-to-backs per se this year.
They've got 16 back-to-backs.
They do got 16
back-to-backs.
All right, where's your bench when you need it? That's for sure. Hey, our headlines: bet the game, watch the game. The Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. They have 3 live betting windows and 6 self-service betting kiosks, plus 8 screens displaying all the betting lines. Check it out for yourself. Open daily from 8 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. All right, folks, college football is here. We know it. We're gearing up for an epic 12-team playoff. Think you can predict all 12 teams and win $1,000, or dare to predict them for a chance to snag $10,000? Get it all right, including the champion, and you can win a whopping $20,000. All you have to do is join Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, 12-team playoff predictor game presented by Lerner and Rowe and Wright Toyota. Now, the first 1,000 people to enter at rockandmanuch.com, don't miss your shot. Now, the deadline is Thursday, August 29th. Again, enter now at rockandmanuch.com. That's rockandmanuch.com for your chance to win $20,000. Again, the first 1,000 people to enter at rockandmanuch.com, and you've got until August 29th. Well, coming up next, we take a look at what the Arizona Cardinals will look to accomplish while practicing with the Colts these last 2 days and then playing in the preseason game on Saturday night. That's next as you listen to Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, right here on Fox Sports 910 live from Twin Peaks in Scottsdale.
Is it time for an all-in-one wireless printer with tons of connectivity options? With Document Solutions of the Valley, you can buy, lease, or rent models that work off of your smartphone. Call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
Crest Insurance is about more than providing coverage. It's about creating your safety net. We offer access to a national network of trusted carriers. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, we're here to help with a personal touch that's close to home. With Crest, you're not only protecting what matters most, but also helping to build stronger, more resilient communities. Crest Insurance. Coverage you can trust. Service you can count on.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. Monsoon season is here, which means my team and I are ready to serve you and your family. Go to state48roofing.com. Scan the QR code below. We'll see you up on your roof.
Craving a sandwich that packs a punch? Welcome to Knuckle Sandwiches in Mesa. We're not your typical sandwich shop. All our menu items are made in-house using family recipes passed down for generations. Taste the difference in every bite. And we don't stop at sandwiches. Enjoy our mouth-watering breakfast burritos and delicious bagel sandwiches. Plus, we cater all over the valley for your next event. Find us at 1140 North Higley in North Point Village, next to Bashis. Or skip the line and order online at knucklesandwichesaz.com. Knuckle Sandwiches. This is the knuckle sandwich your parents should have given you.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101.
You're live.
Jimmy B, Dan Manuch alongside Jackson Roth. We're out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. We have the Arizona Cardinals. They're doing a little, we call that co-practicing or conjoined in practice with the Indianapolis Colts as they get set to kick off their preseason game on Saturday night. Preseason game number 2. And we want to take a look at, as far as Jack's being a former receiver at Montana, I played quarterback for a few years in the National Football League, kind of what the Cardinals are hoping to get out of this. We'll also catch up with Howard Balzer at 3:30 as he's been covering the practices. Yesterday, saw some of the footage. It's hard to tell what you're seeing with some of the footage. It looked like a lot of receiver quarterback combinations. Didn't see a lot of physicality as far as, guys, a lot of thudding going on, if you will. But Jax, I just want to get your thoughts from a former receiver with the conjoined practices. At K-State, we really didn't practice with other teams. Now in Buffalo, and when I was with Green Bay, we did. I loved it. I love the competition. Guys got amped up, and it was some different faces to compete against.
Yeah, and I think for the receiver standpoint, you want to see wide receivers compete and win on routes. And I know one of the biggest clips that's circulated the social media waves was Marvin Harrison Jr.'s crazy route against Kenny Moore Jr., which is interesting, like we call a whip route.
Exactly.
He won on the slant, and then he won on the whip route. But more importantly, I know we don't pay attention to the DB, but it really puts into fact how elite the NFL DBs are with quickness, because although Kenny Moore was burnt, his closing speed on that was pretty good too, Manu. So I think you want to see wide receivers go out there and compete. The chemistry with Kyler Murray I thought was evident. I know joint practices stats don't matter, but it was pretty much 4 for 4 with Michael Wilson, 3 for 4 for Marvin Harrison Jr., and was 100% with Greg Dortch. So you want to see those one-on-one matchups. And what I look for is, like I mentioned, guys that compete and win those one-on-one matchups. But I wish they kind of televise these joint practices. I know some of it too, you're trying to run through plays, but it's a scrimmage, right? You're not gonna show a whole lot against the Colts, and the Colts aren't going to show a lot with you too. But I think for the NFL to not market this and show the joint practices is definitely something. And I know us too, wanting to see teams compete. I'm just kind of shocked that they don't really show much of the one-on-one.
It's they're kind of faux scrimmages, if you will. They're really not scrimmaging. Now did get a little physical. They're trying to tell the linemen, if we're going to go, team, we're going to go 11 on 11, or even 7 on 7. Don't hit anybody. Just engage and then let them go. They want everybody to stay up. But the one thing that I would hope that the Cardinals would get out of this, I'm sure that the Colts would, is how can you be physical enough to try to get those reps going into the regular season if you're not going to play in the preseason game. And that's why I feel these are all well and good. Timing, new competition, other players, the juices get to flowing. You like that. But I still feel that you need the preseason games, actual game reps, if you're going to hone your skills. I think more so from the physical side. Now, I will say all this too. All this 7 on 7 and the 1-on-1 you alluded to with the move that Marvin Harrison Jr. had is all well and good. But where that really improves, or where you really need to get that timing down, is in actual live games. So if they're going to keep Kyler Murray in bubble wrap and not have him play at all, then I would hope in the 11 and 11 scrimmages that that he responds pretty quickly, because that's the closest anybody's going to get to sacking him. So there's a lot of good into this, but there's a lot of things that still need to be done in the preseason game that I wish Jonathan Gannon would start to filter in some of his starters more so.
Yeah, I agree. It's frustrating, seeing all these guys. Like last weekend, we saw Joe Burrow have one series and throw a touchdown pass to T. Higgins and get off the field. Jordan Love drive down the field, get a touchdown pass, and go off the field. That's what you want to see with Kyler Murray, especially with, Michael Wilson. They didn't play much during the season. And Michael Wilson talked in an interview talking about how, one of his routes that he ran and he didn't know the call from Kyler Murray resulted in an interception. They've worked in the offseason, and a guy, Marvin Harrison Jr., that hasn't gotten much live reps. Zay Jones, we didn't even mention too. So the wide receiver room looks a lot different. You do want to see those reps. But I wanted to ask you, from a quarterback perspective, what do you look for Kyler Murray, and then on the other side, Anthony Richardson in these joint practices? Do you kind of take anything from that in one-on-ones?
The one-on-ones probably not. I think just the timing with the receiver on the different routes, the ball coming out on time. They're running a dig route, which is a dig route, folks, is if you got a receiver runs about 15, 16 yards, comes straight across the field versus man coverage where the ball is being placed, comeback routes. As far as the routes and accuracy and timing, yeah, that's all well and good. But where all that works out, what you're talking about, Jackson, was with pressure on the quarterback, with the defensive backs playing man coverage on these receivers, with aggressiveness, knowing guys are going to get hit when they catch a ball coming across the middle. So what I want to see is I guess if you can't hit anybody, just the timing, accuracy, and just making sure guys are coming out of the break and the ball is right there when it comes out. Which leads me to our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day, which you can just go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. Speaking of quarterbacks, who do you want to see as the Cardinals' backup quarterback? Is it Clayton Tune, Desmond Ridder, or bring in a veteran quarterback? Again, go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. And these guys don't get a lot of work. But currently right now, Jax, Desmond Ridder and bring in a veteran quarterback are tied at 42.9%. Clayton Tune at a measly 14.3%, which tells me, and I'm in this category, I said bring in a veteran quarterback. A lot of folks aren't convinced that Desmond Ridder or Clayton Tune, specifically Clayton Tune's not your backup, and Desmond Ridder might have a 50-50 shot versus bringing in a veteran quarterback.
I kind of disagree. I would pick Clayton Tune over Desmond Ridder. This is a guy that's been in the system for a second year, and yes, he's not up to the level that we want to see from a backup, but he looked more confident, I thought, in the preseason game. He looked more confident in his progressions and in his reads and what he wants to accomplish in this offense. I think that's going to be the biggest thing in game 2 is who can separate themselves between the two. But also, too, Manuch, Monty Ossenford is not really a guy that wants to go out and spend money on a backup quarterback unless a Kyler Murray were to go down. Then he's in a panic.
Let me just put it this way. With Clayton Tune going into his second year, you can, until guys play, get live reps in the league. If Desmond Ridder defaults, I don't care how good Desmond Ridder, it seems to me, is the de facto backup for now, and I'm not comfortable with that watching him. not comfortable with watching Clayton Tune. It's all well and good throwing against the second, third teamers and having a chance to run it back there. But I think what we saw, even though he was a rookie last year against Cleveland, really was a debacle for that young man. Now, yes, you can grow as a second-year guy and the lights come on and be successful. But if Kyler Murray, which for all indications we've seen him go down every year he's been here, I want to make sure I have an experienced guy that can come in. Desmond Ridder, there's still a big question mark in him. Why would the Atlanta Falcons get rid of him if there was not a big question mark with him? So I just prefer if this is going to be one of those years the Cardinals decide to make a move forward to win those 8 or 9 games, unless they feel, hey, look, we'll just go with one of these two. We'll continue to build. That's fine. But if he goes down, you want an semblance of a guy that's been there and done that, can get
2
you
minutes
in the huddle and can control and be, I don't care, serviceable or manage the offense. And I haven't seen that. I watched Desmond Ridder a couple times. I've not seen that from him. And I agree, these Clayton Tune's a little used to he knows the system better. But still, man, when live ammo starts flying around and you go 4 or 5 pre-snap looks for a young quarterback, he's still only a quarterback going into the second.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that Desmond Ridder has is reps, especially as a starting quarterback. We saw the Falcons come into town against the Cardinals last year. One little note in terms of the Colts and Cardinals joint practices. One thing that I've been real impressed, Manuch, is this Xavier Thomas kid, rookie out of Clemson. This is a guy that was the number 1 rated prospect in the 2018 class, which was the class that I graduated out of too. He was a 5th round pick, a guy that was supposed to be kind of an interior guy, but flex on the outside. But a guy that we saw in the preseason that plays with a lot of motor. He's kind of shorter. He's not the typical build of a BJ Ojulari on the outside, but this is a guy with a lot of grit that's kind of taking advantage of the opportunity with BJ Ojulari out for the season.
Well, and you look at it, I think the kid's a little fired up too, Jax. I think he was stunned he dropped and went that low. To your point, he's one of the top outstanding defensive players that come out. Darius Robinson, they're saying, is having a good couple of days there in Indianapolis. The other thing, too, that's going to have to be really, I think the Cardinals are going to rely on, we talk about one-on-one competition with the Max Meltons of the world. If you're going to start that young man, he needs a lot of reps to go against the receivers of the Indianapolis Colts. And on top of that, Trey Benson, here's another guy that you're looking at. So I think the key for these practices is that your young guys get a lot of reps, that the key positions get a lot of reps. And I think you build on that going into this preseason game, because this preseason game, number 2 out of 3, will be a tall tale for a lot of the young guys and free agents when they go into a preseason game number 3. It's the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, you mentioned the good of the wide receivers for the Cardinals. One thing I've been reading on writers or reporters that are out there for the Colts training camp is the DB core for the Cardinals struggling.
Well, that's not a good sign as well, too. Hey, folks, you hear me and Rock always talk about the G2G protein bars. If you haven't tried them, you're missing out. Not your average stale off-the-shelf protein bar. I'm telling you, they are fantastic. 8 flavors, including the peanut butter banana chocolate, which is Rock's favorite. But what makes these bars so delicious? They're fresh, no preservatives, and they're stored in the fridge. Now, you can pack them for lunch. You can put them out there, whether you're coming or going. For me, it's when I've trained my quarterbacks, I'm out there taking them and eating them a couple, 2-3 times when I'm out there. They got solid protein and healthy fats. They incorporate check them out in the refrigerated section at Costco, or just go to g2gbar.com. Get one today. Again, g2gbar.com. Well, coming up next, we catch up with the play-by-play voice of the Oregon State and Washington State for the CW Network. Ted Robinson joins us next as you listen to Roc and Manuch right here on Fox Sports 910, live from Twin Peaks in Scottsdale.
Clear. What's trending on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix?
Gold medal winners Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kalia Copper, and the rest of the Mercury resume their WNBA season tonight against the Chicago Sky. The D-backs own the National League's longest current winning streak at 6. They're out east for the next 9, starting tomorrow against the Rays. The Cardinals return to the field for the second joint practice with the Colts, heading into Saturday's preseason contest. The NBA released its season schedule. The Suns begin October 23rd on the road as they help the Clippers open their new Intuit Dome home. Their home opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
It's right for Wright Toyota. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, check out Wright Toyota and WrightToyota.com. We broadcast there every Friday from 1 to 4, so stop by, say hello. Right on the price, right on the selection, WrightToyota.com.
Looking for a place where everyone is welcome? Come to Azul Bar and Grill in Phoenix. Not your typical sports bar, Azul is the ultimate hangout spot for friends and families alike. Enjoy live music, catch your favorite games, play some fun games, and savor delicious food in a vibrant atmosphere. Visit us at 3134 West Carefree Highway in the Tremonto Plaza. Don't miss out on our daily events and specials at azulgrill.com. Azul Bar and Grill, a great time, but a better time with you.
Tune in Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. for the Crest Insurance Group Sun Devil Report with Coach Charlie Rago. Crest Insurance. Coverage you can trust, service you can count on. Every Thursday on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Ted's ready.
That's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
With Popeye's $6.99 Big Box, you can have 2 pieces of chicken or 3 chicken tenders with 2 regular sides and a biscuit. Or with our $20 Bigger Box, you get 10 pieces of chicken or 10 chicken tenders with 4 biscuits to feed your whole crew. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101.
You're live.
Right, Fancy Switch on the Pac-12 Network to CW. We always appreciate him coming on. He's the play-by-play voice for the Oregon State Beavers, as well as Wazoo, Washington State Cougars. Now joining us here on the right turn to guest line, Ted Robinson joining us. Ted, it's Manuch alongside Jax. How are you doing? Now, were you over there at the Olympics broadcasting just about anything and everything tennis-wise, or what?
Hey, Manuch, nice to be with you. It's great to be home. I was in Paris, and my sport for now the last 6 Summer Olympics has been diving. So I am, in fact, these games, I surpassed the 10,000 dive called mark in my career. So by Malcolm Gladwell standards, that should make me a master, shouldn't it?
You have your doctoral in broadcasting for diving. and it was just, I love the swimming events. I love the track events and the diving. The higher they go, the more trepidation. If I jump off of some of those high dives, I'm happy I'll put my floaties on if I'm going to jump that high, Ted.
Well, I went up there. I've been up there twice in my life to the tall tower, which is 33 feet, and I wouldn't even jump off. There's no way. I mean, people say, why don't you just do a cannonball? You got to be kidding me. And guys, you know what they're doing? They have built a tower in Fort Lauderdale that is they call it high diving, I think, and there's a movement within the diving world to have high diving in the Olympics. Now that's 27 meters high. That is over 80 feet, and they do. Red Bull sponsors this in places in Europe, and the people dive off this thing, but they have to land feet first. You must land feet first, otherwise you'll die. You can't handle the speed of impact if you're going in hands first. So I think it's insane personally, but there are actually people within diving that want, because it's Evel Knievel. It's Wallenda walking across the high wire. That's what it's like. And in essence, you're praying that no one crashes.
Only you and I would know what the Walenda. I call some of these offenses the Flying Walenda Brothers. You use the term the Walenda Brothers. Hey,
Yeah.
and we won't age ourselves at that. But Ted, I got to ask you, Jack's a huge Notre Dame fan. You being a Notre Dame alumnus, the 7th-ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the AP poll that came out last week. How's the alumni feeling about that?
Well, I think everybody's fired up about Marcus Freeman. I will freely admit I've not yet engaged with Notre Dame football for this coming year, but I did the last game last year, Notre Dame at Stanford. I met Freeman and met some of the staff, and he's recruited well. He clearly is the younger generation coach that connects to players. Notre Dame has signed on to the spinning wheel at quarterback that many other schools are doing, where you just bring in the one-year guy who has experience. So they had the kid from Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, last year. They have another one-year guy this year, got Duke. Well, Manuch, this is your realm, so you should tell me. I'm not a big fan of that, but I understand where people today are saying we're no longer going to take time to develop a kid because, by the way, if they don't play right away, they leave anyway.
Sure.
So, and you know who's this year out in our part of the world, even though they're now in the Big 18. USC is doing that because they've had Miller Moss on their bench for a couple of years sitting behind Caleb, and now he's actually going to play. So we'll see if they can defy this one and done mindset.
Yeah, Ted, there's so much in college football changing. What are kind of your expectations for the 12-team college football playoff? I know people in the committee say, oh, well, it's going to be easy for them to pick their teams. I kind of disagree. I feel like it's going to be more chaotic than the 4-team. What are your expectations for it? And then, like you said, Notre Dame alum, them not being a conference, how do they benefit with the 12-team playoff?
Yeah, well, Notre Dame is powerful enough in its standing within college football that they're always assured of a path in. So, Notre Dame is half in the ACC in football. They play 5 games a year against ACC teams, and so people I know there's a lot of people that just like to bash Notre Dame. I get that. And so they use the independence football against them. The truth of the matter is the only thing Notre Dame independent in football is their home TV view. That's it. Everything else, they schedule 5 ACC teams a year. They are part of I shouldn't say they're not. They have the independent TV package, and they also have their own bowl structure. I should say that. They're not in the ACC bowl thing. So those are the only 2 things. But so to your direct question, the 12 team is better. Anything's better than 4 because of what happened to Florida State last year. It was shameful, absolutely shameful. And believe me, I don't like Florida State. I have no reason to like them. But what happened to them was shameful. A 12-team playoff, that can't happen. So that alone to me is worth having more teams in. And look, we've seen it every team sport, guys. The more teams you let in the playoffs, it does 2 things. At the same time, it rewards mediocrity, but it does make late season games more meaningful because you're actually playing for something, even though, baseball right now, you don't even have to be 500 in mid-August. I went to the Giants game last night in San Francisco. The Giants are under 500, but they're in the wild card chase. And traditionally in baseball, if you're under 500 in August, you're already making plans for next year. So that's the 12-team playoff to me will benefit that in college football.
He's Ted Robinson, CW play-by-play voice for Oregon State and Washington State University. All right, Ted, you are now a CW. You got both these teams. I look at the Pac-2 or Pac-12 conference, if you will. It looks like kind of the land of misfits, almost like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Some of the toys out on the island floating around by themselves on that big iceberg, right? So you look at these 2 schedules, and it's kind of a hodgepodge. I mean, like Oregon State, Wazoo, you're playing Big 12 teams. You're playing former Pac-12 teams. You got Big 10 schedule, Mountain West schedule. Is this kind of an accumulation of things to come, or this will be the future before they go somewhere specifically?
Well, it's this year and next year, guys. So what Oregon State and Washington State did, they already had some games scheduled. So Oregon State's playing Purdue this year. Washington State's playing Texas Tech. Those games are already scheduled. They kept the rivalry games intact. So Oregon State plays Oregon, Washington State plays Washington. What they needed was the replacement of the conference game. So they scheduled Mountain West. They're going to play Mountain West this year and next year. And really, I think it's well known, the 2 schools and the conference name are on the clock. They have a little less than 2 years now to reformulate a conference that must have 8 teams in it to be certified by NCAA for football. So they have to have 8 teams. If they don't have 8 teams, then they have to go to plan B, C, D, and that's what everyone's waiting for now. But in the short term, and in fact, I'm heading up to Corvallis tomorrow to do a little event for Oregon State football tomorrow night. And I'm telling you guys, if you walked into the facilities, the stadium at Corvallis or the facilities in Pullman, there's no way you could walk away saying these are not big-time schools. They're power programs. They just got left out in the selfishness and panic of the other schools in the conference. So that's what they're trying to do. And the TV deal with CW, the last point, is really good for them because, look, I was part of it. Pac-12 Network the last 5 years, witness protection program. And so now CW's on in every market. You'll see it in the Valley. I don't know what the station is, but it's on over-the-air TV. It'll be on, and the schools need the exposure to let the country know, hey, we're not giving up here, and we're not going to, so-called 1AA.
So when you look at Oregon State, they did lose DJU, but I find their quarterback battle pretty fascinating between Branson, Jabari Johnson, and Giovanni McCoy from Idaho. Who's like what you've been hearing to be the leading candidate for QB1, or do you think it's one of those things for Oregon State they kind of just rotate quarterbacks in the beginning, and when they start to play Oregon week 3, they'll find their solidified starting quarterback?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's one I'm going to find out a little bit more tomorrow myself. But I mean, Branson, because of his experience, came into fall, basically as the lead guy. But from everything I've heard, the other two have played well. And understand this, I think, again today in college football, every coach fears what I referenced a few moments ago, that you name your starting quarterback and the other kids that don't win the starting job immediately look to transfer immediately. And now you're left in a quarterback room with no backup.
3.
And so I think a part of what happens, coaches maybe project a little bit more of a competition to make sure the kids stay. And look what happened. If you remember, this was at Washington. Chris Peterson's, I think it was his last year, had a quarterback battle right down to the end, and he gave Jacob Eason the starting job week 1. And the day after he announced that, Jake Haener transferred to Fresno State. And you were left without your backup quarterback. So that's the perfect example of what coaches fear happening today. So I suspect Branson because of his experience, but I know, look, as you said, Oregon State lost quarterback. They lost Damian Martinez, their running back. They lost the linebacker. Mascarenas went to UFC. They were definitely hurt in the NIL, portal. So Trent Bray can't afford to lose more kids.
It seems as though, Ted, as you talk and just trying to keep up with the Joneses, i.e. the roster, you and I have been doing these broadcasts for many, many years. You could kind of sit there and kind of track and follow, the usual suspects. But nowadays, you might need an assistant just to keep up with all the players coming and going on a particular roster. I mean, you just rattle off you're making me dizzy about who's coming and who's going with this portal scenario. And then for you to do a broadcast, he had 5 stops before he's now quarterbacking in Oregon State. It's truly, I feel, a travesty to see as much as this has gone on.
Yeah, look. Any of us that grew up in Manuch, you played it, so anybody that grew up loving college, it's no different than a pro team. If you're a pro team fan, you have to connect with the players. You can't turn your roster over every year if you're rooting for the Suns or the D-backs or the Cardinals. You can't turn your roster over every year and expect fans to connect with players. Well, college to me is no different. So I'm very worried about donors. And I think Oregon State and Washington State are very wise to be very concerned about keeping their donors connected, despite, in their case, the loss of so many people. And what they need, the donors, and look, this gets into the part of college sport that's no longer college. This is now pro sport, is that you can't just be a farm team for the big boys. So you can't be what mid-major basketball has become, where a mid-major team knows if I develop somebody, one of the big boys is going to come in and just pay him $500,000 to come play for me next year, and I'm out of luck. Oregon State had a little bit of that this past year. They can't go down that road. And Washington State's in the same boat. And, what they've done is brought in, of course, the kids that want to transfer up, so to speak, from, from FCS or whatever level you want to call it. The kids are transferring up. But when you keep and develop a kid like Martinez, the running back at Oregon State, that was brilliant, but Miami paid him a ton. I mean, look at the two schools we're talking about here, Manuch. Miami of Florida took the quarterback from Washington State, Cam Ward, and the 1,000-yard running back from Oregon State, Damian Martinez. They just had their boosters, just wrote the checks, and here those kids go for probably, I'm guessing, probably 7 figures this year. So it is hard to keep saying college sport when that's the dynamic that we're all facing.
Well, what's your take on Oregon State and Washington State? Who do you think is going to perform better this football season in your early analysis on the two?
I think on paper, guys, you have to say Washington State kept more of their people. So I can't judge based on schedule because I don't know enough yet about the strength of the Mountain West schools. But I would say Washington State has the edge just on that. The returning Oregon State got hurt hard in the portal. So I think Bray, the new coach, has that work ahead of him. But I'll tell you what, Oregon State, their brand new stadium last year, fabulous. It's better than Oregon Stadium. It's going to force Phil and the people at Oregon to open up their checkbooks a little bit more and refresh Autzen because the stadium in Corvallis is beautiful. The facilities are great. So if they can come out within the next 2 years with a viable conference, Oregon State football will be fine long term. Short term this year, I think their start could be very tough for them.
Ted, always appreciate your time. We will be catching up with you, Ted Robinson. He is part of the CW Network, play-by-play voice for your Oregon State Beavers and Washington State Cougars. Ted, always a pleasure to catch up with you. My best to you and the family. Welcome back from Paris.
Go Irish.
Thank you, Manuch. Thanks, Jack. Nice being with you guys.
You bet. Ted, sponsored today by El Bandito Yankee Tequila. El Bandito Yankee isn't just another tequila. It's pure outlaw spirit. El Bandito Tequila is the official tequila of Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. Experience it for yourself. Ask for it at your favorite watering hole. Break out the Bandito. Well, coming up next, we need a contestant to challenge one of our beautiful Twin Peaks girls here from Scottsdale today. Today it's Fran. We'll take the fifth caller, 602-260-9191. That's 602-260-9191. We'll get that going because the games that you're going to pick, are going to get all started tonight. Eagles at Patriots tonight, Lions at Chiefs, Cardinals at the Colts. That's all coming up next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings, bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Attention drivers, stay alert, Arizona. All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing storage services contractor, supports the move over law. If you see emergency lights, move over and slow down. Let's keep our roads safe for everyone. Sponsored by All City Towing.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
It's Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing and your sexy status roof guy on Instagram and Facebook. Lesser roofers cut corners.
Hey, you guys got me?
Patchwork roofs to meet a budget, not State 48 Roofing. Give us a call today for your maintenance, repair, or full replacement needs.
In the fast lane of life, your fuel should keep up. Time to check out G2G protein bars, your ultimate grab-and-go meal replacement. Whether it's a workday, gym session, or navigating daily chaos, G2G has got you covered. Find them now at your local Costco in the refrigerated section, or explore all 8 fantastic flavors at G2GBar.com. Great tasting and packed with protein, so keep pace with life in the fast lane with G2G protein bars.
is Steve Billings from Tempe. Steve Billings from Tempe. He's already given our good buddy back there at the studio all the 5 picks that we have got going on today. So what we have today is the Eagles at the Patriots. That game is tonight. The Lions at the Chiefs, and then the Cardinals at the Colts. So already we got that. So Richie's got the picks from Steve in Tempe. But Kimmy, thanks
Is
for
it
joining
Kim
us.
or Kimmy?
Kimmy or Kim? What is it?
Kimmy's good.
Kimmy's better than
Kimmy's good?
Kim?
Yeah.
You big
Kimmy's good.
you a Cardinal fan?
Yeah. I am.
Who's your favorite player? Just to throw it out.
I actually don't know anything about football.
But you got to make the picks from that standpoint. Well, we'll make this real easy for you. We'll make it
Okay.
painless for you today. So what we're going to do, we'll give you the game, and you
Okay.
just give us a winner, and you'll be competing against Steve in Tempe.
Okay.
And then Rich will give us that pick from there. So number one, we'll start off with the Eagles at the Patriots. That's tonight's game. So you can come in here to Twin Peaks in Scottsdale to watch this game. So Kim, who are you gonna pick for this game? Eagles at the Patriots.
The Eagles.
All right, you go with the Eagles. Good pick. All right, and then Richie, what's Steve got?
I think Steve's going with the Patriots. He's
All
got it
right.
written down here. Maybe Rich is sleeping back there. All right, let's go with the second game. Lions at the Chiefs. Who do you like?
The Lions.
The Lions.
Okay.
Good pick again. Okay, going against the defending Super Bowl
All right,
champs.
and Rich, what Steve got?
Taking the Chiefs.
All right, taking the Chiefs from that stand. And last but not least, this is the big one. Cardinals lost, last week to the New Orleans Saints.
Oh no.
In their first preseason game. So the Cardinals at the
Only
Colts.
preseason.
Yeah, it's only preseason. So Kimmy, who you got?
The Cardinals.
Okay, got the Cardinals. And then Rich, what Steve got?
Cardinals.
All right, he's going to go with the Cardinals as well, too. So there's the picks right there. So the Eagles at the Patriots, that's tonight. Come into the Twin Peaks. Matter of fact, come to any of the 5 Twin Peaks locations throughout the entire valley. From there, Lions at Chiefs. Kimmy took the Lions. Steve took the Lions, and Steve took the Chiefs. Cardinals at the Colts. Kimmy took the Cardinals, and Steve also took the Cardinals. So, Kimmy, appreciate you coming on. Now, give us some of the specials you got going on for Thursday night and coming up for this weekend as well.
Well, we have naughty shots, $8 for all of those. And then we have $4.50 Jack Daniel Tennessee apple shots and $8 apple turnover desserts.
Desserts.
Yes.
All that going on.
Are they pretty good? Have you tasted the turnovers?
Yeah, the apple turnovers are my favorite.
Okay.
They're pretty good.
And then the crowds have been pretty good. You got the early morning crowds on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Those have been going. So, folks, you highly recommend, even though it's preseason, folks are getting here, especially with college football starting.
Yes, it's so fun in here when you come in.
Gotta love it.
Nice.
All right. Well,
Good work, Kimmy.
Thanks so much. Well, we're
Thanks,
going to make you a
guys.
football fan, that's for sure. So thanks so much. That's Kimmy out here at the Twin Peaks. Come on out here. She's got the afternoon shift. She was telling us to go ahead and make sure that we get all that in that particular place. So there you have it, the Twin Peaks picks. So if Steve gets those picks, he'll win a $25 man card. All that going on out here at Twin Peaks.
She was a little nervous on the radio there, Manu.
Yeah, she was filling for Fran. Fran, I guess, had to run. She's our experienced pro.
Football guru.
Yeah.
She's got a fantasy football team, knows the quarterbacks. Yeah, it's tough first time going on the radio. I remember I was a little nervous myself too.
You are now. We can't shut you up for crying out loud. So we look at some of these games and pretty much as our football at 50, Eagles at the Patriots. Some of the things that are going on so far is we still have not seen a trade with one Brandon Ayuk, even though the trade's on the table for the Pittsburgh Steelers with the San Francisco 49ers. We have Jamar Chase still a holdout for the Cincinnati Bengals. That one could linger on for a long, long time. And one CeeDee Lamb, folks, Dallas Cowboy folks, fans, has not been signed as well either, unless I'm not seeing any updates from that standpoint.
No, he's not gotten signed. And I think that's got to be the number one biggest question mark I have in terms of the NFL offseason that we've seen recently is why Jerry Jones has not left his ego out the door and go in and pay your best, not only wide receiver, but offensive weapon in CeeDee Lamb. This is a guy that's proved in and proved out to carry your offense and one of the best route runners in all of the NFL, both him and Jamar Chase not getting paid. It's confusing, but I've heard both are starting to talk about contracts. As you know, September 5th is just around the corner.
Well, that's a big trade too, also with the Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. Big trade there. The Falcons finally get their edge rusher. They get the guy they wanted. Still have not come up with any kind of extension with him in reference to the 2025 season.
Yeah, it's interesting. He just turned 32 on Thursday. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler who had just come off a great season in 2022 with 15.5 sacks, 12.5 sacks before that. But an edge rusher who's fiending to be on a championship team like he was with the Ravens before he got traded to the Patriots. But I like this fit a lot. The Falcons defense gets more stacked as they sign, $8 million, 4-time All-Pro safety Justin Simmons on top of Matthew Judon. So you got a veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins. You got a good running game with Bijan Robinson and some wide receivers in Drake London and a guy in Kyle Pitts we still want to see go over the edge at tight end. A dynamic defense with a defensive head coach. They're going to be a contending team, not only in the NFC South, which is such a weak division, but in the NFC after making those two.
Well, and one of the things the Falcons have done, and they freed up some money against the salary cap Thursday, that was this morning, by restructuring the contract of Pro Bowl guard Chris Lindstrom. He'll move part of his $12.5 million base salary into a signing bonus that will happen as far as getting him signed or restructuring for next year. So
that means he gets all his money.
He gets all his money.
Congrats, Mr. Lindstrom.
And here's
1 minute.
The one thing you like about all this is that Judon's going to get paid, and now he's signing on a good faith offer in reference to how he makes things happen from here on out. So when you look at all those particular things going on, it's going to be guys got paid, making it all happen, and those are some of the things that they're definitely going to want to happen. Hey, Football 50 is powered today by Twin Peaks. This week's features specials on your favorite summer bevs, including 29-degree drafts to keep you cool, refreshing cocktails and cheap shots. Bring the crew and grab watermelon margarita topped with watermelon Red Bull to beat the heat. Coming up in hour number 3, we take a look at the Cardinals defense as Michael Bankston will join us. And Cardinals beat writer Howard Balzer also joins us, that at 3:30. We're out here at the Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. It's Manuch alongside Jax. We'll bring you all a football final hour right here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Clear.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B has been sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
I didn't realize you were going to come to me.
Here, your favorite drafts report at a frosty 29 degrees.
I did. If you did say that, I completely forgot.
It's bigger game days and bolder.
By the time I realized it, I didn't have the game.
Scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day.
So Jax covered that well there.
Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is always adding exciting cocktails.
DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code 910. That's code 910 for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. UFC 305. It's going to be a ripper of a good time. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus, Arizona only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at dkng.co/MMA.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating.
Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the Raffi Law Group Studios. This is KGME Phoenix, KESC HD3 Phoenix. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports talk, podcasts, and music. Free never sounded so good.
NBA released its complete season schedule. The Suns begin their campaign October 23rd on the road to help the Clippers christen their new Intuit Dome home. Phoenix's Footprint Center opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. The Mercury resumed their WNBA season tonight against the Chicago Sky. The Diamondbacks own the National League's current winning streak with 6 consecutive victories. They're out east for the
completely random, but I just saw this. That came down about half an hour ago.
Cardinals
Nicholas Cage.
Season
Nicholas Cage.
Sports marketing, Michael Bankston. He's a proud Sam Houston State alum who played 9 seasons in the NFL for the Bengals and Cardinals.
It's picked off, and number 63 rolling down the sidelines, Michael Bankston, he drops it, and into the end zone goes Pete McCash.
Michael Bankston just picking that ball up and rambling. Ranked number 62 on the Arizona Republic's top 100 all-time Cardinal players. A great follow on Twitter at BigBank90. Michael Bankston, now on Roc and Manuch on Fox Sports 910.
You can take that to the bank.
Hour number 3, and that's correct. The big bank himself, Michael Banks, now joining us here on the right Toyota guest line. Banks, it's Manuch alongside Jax. How are we doing this afternoon? You all set up for preseason game number 2. I heard you're back there in North Carolina, just making sure you didn't get caught up in all the storms. You still dry back there?
No, the weather's pretty nice. A little humid, but it's not too bad. A lot cooler here than it is in Arizona, so I can't complain.
Hey, before we start talking about the practices with the Colts this week, you go for preseason game number 2. I wanted you to recap a little bit about what you, number one, what were you looking for in the first preseason game against the Saints from that defensive standpoint? And then number 2, what were some of the pros and cons you take away from that first game?
What you're looking for is the players flying to the ball and making sure they're knowing their assignments and alignments, because those mental errors will kill you. And you wanted to make sure that they know the defense and know it real well. And my thoughts were the fact that, let me say this real quick. Normally defense is ahead of offenses just because all we need to do is fly around. If we do make a mistake, we might have somebody to make it up for us. So you can see why there's a lot of low-scoring games this past time. And we'll probably see some difference in the second game moving forward. I'm always going to want the D-line to stop the run, rush, and pass. As linebackers will be in their coverage and also playing downhill. And secondary, making sure they have some tight coverage, and the safeties coming up and filling those gaps. We saw a lot of good defense this past time. I got to be honest. I think for the longest we stopped them, and of course, Rattler had that run and got a touchdown in the end. But for the most part, we contained them, and that's what you want to see out of your defense coming out there. I would like to see more as we rush the pass to get some sacks. I mean, it's good to put some pressure on the pass to the QB, but it feels better when we get those sacks and put a lot more pressure with the opportunity to get those turnovers. So that's what I would say that was missing. Someone's getting some pressure on the quarterback as far as sacks.
You said last week you were anxious to watch Darius Robinson and Xavier Thomas played. Now, Darius Robinson, very disruptive. I just want to get your thoughts on watching those two edge rushers. Seemed like Robinson had a good game for a rookie to come out of the chute like that.
Yeah, I seen him. I watched the game, and he had some good pressures up there, and almost had an opportunity to get a sack. I'm sure he felt good about his play that he played against, opponent other than his practice squad, not practice squad, but playing against his teammates. So getting a different feel and seeing and then getting acclimated to how the NFL is. I think he has that motor. I mean, he's going to be good size. He has good mobility, good speed, good quickness. And I hope that, leads to more sack and more pressures and more turnovers. That's what you hope for in your D lineman. Xavier, he played well. He played tough. And that's what you want to see for your outside guys that, they can contain and make sure they can get back there and put some pressure on the quarterback as well, but make sure to keep them in the pocket and make them step up for those defensive linemen that's inside. So I think those two young guys did pretty well this preseason for the first game. That is the first game. We got a couple more before live bullets.
Like, when you look back on being a rookie defensive end, what's the toughest part for some of these rookies to get over their first year? Because I mean, Xavier Thomas looks to be phenomenal. I know it's the first game, but he looked to get things clicking. Versus a guy like Cam Thomas a couple years ago was in a similar situation, and he's starting to fade away. What's been the toughest part, I guess, you've seen for some of these rookie defensive ends, and then for yourself when you were in the league?
Well, I mean, you always hope, especially in my mind, I wanted to play. I always felt that I was, coming from a smaller school, that I always had to stay hungry. And I'm hoping these guys stay hungry and go out there and make some plays, because you want to see what your ability is and stack up against the big boys, you can say. And I'm hoping the guys have that mindset and stay hungry. Don't go up there and look at your press clippings and thinking that you're more than what you are, especially at this present time, because you haven't really busted grape yet. So I'm hoping those guys have that hunger in them and that desire. But for defensive linemen, if we're not making some big-time tackles for losses and some sacks, then we're just average players. So those guys got some motors. They're young. They're hungry. I hope they stay that way, and I hope they make a difference in this defense. Because, as you know, Manuch, I played hard enough to be able to start my rookie year in the league. So, and that made me understand and know that I had an opportunity to play this game and play it for a while.
Michael Bankston, former Arizona Cardinals and Bengals defensive end, joins us here on the Right Toyota guest line. I'm transitioning second practice today in the joint practice against the Indianapolis Colts. And me and Manuch talking earlier, a lot of one-on-one drills from wide receiver, DBs, and defensive line. I'm curious from you being a former defensive lineman, is there anything that you could take away from the pass rush one-on-one drills for offensive defensive line that could translate to a game, or is it more just a social media clip and video and hype that we could see from that standpoint?
No. You get a lot out of these one-on-ones. I mean, as long as we're not fighting. Because when we played against the Raiders my rookie year, we fought like I don't think we got a chance to finish a practice or finish the scrimmage, because it was nothing but fights. You don't really get anything out of that, and you really don't get a notch out of the belt. You just said I fought somebody, but you really want to look at those one-on-ones. One-on-ones is where we live as D linemen. Just like you said, one-on-one, the corner against the receivers, linebackers against the running backs, as well as the tight ends, safeties against the running backs, and also the receivers as well. That lets you know and give you say, you know what, I'm playing against an opponent. They are out there playing at their best ability. I know it's practice, but they are different than what my teammates are, and that gives me an idea, give me a gauge of where I'm at and what I need to improve on. So no, I like that. We did Denver a couple of times when I played. We did San Diego, and then we did the Raiders as well.
Banks, how much physicality do you need as a defensive lineman to get you ready for game one? I know we talk about the offensive line. They need blocking. They need physicality to make that chemistry, that consistency. So you talk about a lot of one-on-ones that you get, which is great. But I mean, as a team as a whole, how much physicality as a team defense do you actually need to get yourself ready, in this case, for the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, you want your guys flying to the ball. I mean, if you got guys flying the ball, that's another opportunity to knock a ball out from a running back or a receiver that's cutting back, and also the opportunity to, not let that play go down the field for a long ways. You always, again, look for your secondary to have tight coverage. You look for your D lineman to be able to get in the backfield, set a new line of scrimmage, a couple of yards in the back, to show that they are that physicality, as you indicate, that I know this is not an HBO special, but that you kicking a person across from your ass, you kicking their ass, and you want to, and when you think about it, it is a job, but you're not going to win 100% of the battles, but you need to have a high percentage of those battles won, in order to keep your spot, to be quite frank, but also to make a difference and give the opportunity for, like I said, for your team to win, because it is a team sport. And with all 11 on the same page, they're going to be unstoppable. I love the way they flown around the ball this past game. I hope they keep it up. But again, defense is a little more ahead of offenses because of their timing and everything else that they have to contend with.
Banks, my last one for you. How does David Collins take the next step in his growth as a football player per se? And do you need to see that preseason before that opening game against the Bills?
Well, I mean, he's been in the league for a few years. I know he's probably, hasn't panned out to the guy that they were hoping him. And he plays some decent football, so he's not like he's not a caliber professional athlete, NFL player. But you're looking for, especially with your first rounders, you're looking for those guys to be a little more dominating. You want everybody to be dominating, to be honest, but you just look for those guys that you pick, especially your general manager, the owner, as well as the coaches. They believe in that this guy is going to come out here and he's going to set a precedent and make a difference for his team. He still has that opportunity. Xavier's still young. He got great size, great speed. He just has to have that mentality. What makes a difference? And I know you asked that about me. One of the biggest things was not the physicality always. It was the mentality, how to set yourself apart from everybody else and do your job a little better than everybody else, again, so you can stay on the field. And that's making plays. That's making a difference. And that's knowing your assignments and alignments and doing it to the best of your ability for 4 quarters or however long it's going to take, and put your team in the best position to win.
Banks, always appreciate it. We'll track you down next week. Get your thoughts about preseason game number 2 there in Indianapolis. Have a good trip there back in North Carolina. Safe travels. We'll catch up next week. Thank you so much for the time.
All right, you take care. You guys bless and keep up the good work.
So Michael Bankston, you can tweet him at BigBank90. I would think with defensive lineman, linebacker, the one-on-one is vitally important.
Yeah, and I hope he didn't take offense to it. It's one of those things, like in some drills where people freak out about a one-on-one. Like example, the Marvin Harrison Jr. clip yesterday, but it's just a one-on-one.
Sure.
No offensive lineman, no defensive lineman. So I just wanted to kind of hear what his approach was when he looks at the defensive lineman in those one-on-one situations.
Hey, bet the game, watch the game, the Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. They have 3 live betting windows and 6 self-service betting kiosks, plus 8 screens displaying all the betting lines. Check it out for yourself. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And folks, college football is here. We've been talking about it. We're gearing up for an epic 12-team playoff. Think you can predict all 12 teams and win $1,000, or dare to predict them for a chance to snag $10,000? We get it all right, including the champion, and you can win a whopping $20,000. That's right, $20,000. All you have to do is just join Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B's 12-team playoff football predictor game presented by Lerner and Rowe and Wright Toyota. Now, the first 1,000 people to enter at rockandmanuch.com. Don't miss your shot. Deadline is Thursday, August 29th. Enter now at rockandmanuch.com. Let me say that again. We're going to take the first 1,000 people. Just go to rockandmanuch.com, and you have to have that in by Thursday, August 29th. So enter now. Again, one more time at rockandmanuch.com. Well, it's a Thursday. That means we are broadcasting live from one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks. Today we're in Scottsdale, So take advantage of the 29-degree man-sized drafts. Well, the Suns schedule's out, but what will be the key time frames the Suns team will have to be hitting on all cylinders? It's Roc and Manuch to Jimmy B right here on Fox Sports 910 and on
Valley traffic from the Valley Toyota Dealers Traffic Center.
South Mountain Loop 202 northbound, right near Buckeye Road. Crash blocking the right lane on the Red Mountain Loop 202 eastbound at 32nd Street. A crash on the off-ramp blocking the right lane. 10 eastbound before Palo Verde Road, there's a vehicle fire that's been reported.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school, including tech. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program. Offer ends 8/24. Save big on back to school at Staples.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Twin Peaks wants to upgrade your home viewing experience with a new big screen TV. Enter for a chance to win your choice of a smart TV up to 85 inches by texting PEAKS to 59925. Standard message and data rates may apply. That's PEAKS to 59925.
When you use your electric vehicle in autopilot or self-driving mode, accidents can still happen. Whether you're considered at fault or not, you may still have a claim. Lerner & Rowe has a dedicated team skilled in this new science. We are the first law firm in America with the ability to review the proprietary software and hold electric vehicle manufacturers responsible. If you or a loved one were injured in an electric vehicle accident, call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at acelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's acelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Whether you're looking for a bay window awning over a breakfast nook, a shade sail or structure in your home or business, a retractable awning for your patio, or roll curtains for your screen room, the House of Canvas and Fine Wrought Iron has what you need. Beat the heat this summer and get covered by Arizona's #1 rated shade experts. Visit thehouseofcanvas.com. House of Canvas, family owned and making shady deals in the Valley for over 40 years. That's thehouseofcanvas.com.
Subscriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
This is Chris Broussard. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by AutoZone.
The NBA released its complete season schedule. The Suns begin their campaign October 23rd on the road to help the Clippers christen their new Intuit Dome home. Their home opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. The Cardinals return to the field for the second joint practice with the Colts heading into Saturday's preseason game. The Bills announced Pro Bowl linebacker Matt Milano suffered a torn biceps during practice earlier in the week. He'll be out indefinitely. I'm Frank Garrity.
Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101.
You're live.
Right, Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. Hope you're having a great Thursday afternoon. Staying cool out there. We're located at the Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard and the 101. So stop on by and say hi if you get a chance. All the specials are going strong. Getting ready for a little Thursday night football as the Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles will be going at it tonight, I believe. That starts at 5 o'clock our time, if I'm not mistaken. 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll double
4
check.
o'clock.
4 o'clock our time. We'll double check on that. So thank you, Jack. So the Suns' schedule is out. So we take a good hard look at it. You look at the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Not going to be easy sledding starting off, and then also finishing off the season. This Phoenix Suns team is, and I think a lot of this is because of the Western Conference, and then taking on some of the Eastern Conference folks. It's going to be a tough schedule, but Jack said to start things off the first couple weeks, we're going to get a true litmus test of if this Phoenix Suns team in the Big Three have gotten things straightened out with the new head coach, Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns have the toughest strength of schedule in the NBA to start the season, followed by the Clippers, Mavericks, Warriors, and Thunder. So to your point, the Western Conference is loaded. They'll open up Wednesday, October 23rd at the Los Angeles Clippers, which will be on ESPN. 2 days later, October 25th, they'll go at the Los Angeles Lakers, also on ESPN. So 2 national games, which the Suns have 30 national televised games. So I ask you, Manuch, who do you think has the most televised, national televised games? What team in the NBA?
Now, my initial thought is the LA Lakers because of LeBron. Or the Boston Celtics. One of those two.
So the Lakers, you were correct.
Okay.
They have the most at 39, followed by the Warriors with 36, the Boston Celtics and the Knicks with 34 apiece, and then the Mavericks and Suns have 30.
You know, you talk about the Knicks. This is supposed to be their breakthrough year, right? You got guys, having to sign user-friendly contracts, some of the moves that they made in the offseason. And, that's that huge market. And it's I think what the NBA looks at, and I think as a fan, as an NBA fan, when the Knicks are in the swing of it, or the Knicks are there, it makes everything relevant. It's like the New York Knicks are now relevant again after the playoffs last year and where they're headed this year. So it could be the Knicks and the Boston Celtics vying for the NBA East championship title amongst some of the other usual suspects. So, and Milwaukee being part of that as well, too. But I think as far as New York Knicks, it doesn't surprise me that Adam Silver and his minions over there, and I mean that in a good way, I don't mean in a bad way, and his minions over there at the NBA office are going, hey, look, the New York Knicks are relevant. One of the largest, if not the largest TV market, largest market period. So you got the Lakers on the West Coast covered. You got the Knicks. You got Boston, and then Golden State. So those top 4, there they are as far as the top TV coverage throughout the NBA season.
The first Suns home game will be October 26th against the Dallas Mavericks. 2 days later, they'll play the Lakers at home as well, and then go back to the Clippers on October 31st against the Clippers, like I mentioned. But then you get to the back end of November. This is where the schedule starts to get a little harder for the Phoenix Suns. On November 12th, you got to go at Utah, which 4 days before that, you got to go at Dallas. Then on November 13th, a back-to-back at Sacramento. November 15th at Oklahoma City, November 17th at Minnesota, and then you've got 3 home games against 3 playoff teams in the Magic, the Knicks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. And then you'll wrap up your month of November home against Brooklyn, which should be a win with them not having Mikal Bridges. And then you got a home game against Golden State. So the toughest schedule in the league for October and November is the Phoenix Suns. But I also want to mention, too, Manuch, kind of a special game. We didn't mention this earlier when we were talking about the Phoenix Suns schedule, but kind of a homecoming for Kevin Durant, as on February 20th, the Suns will play the Spurs at the University of Texas for an on-campus game. I think it's pretty fun. I think it's fascinating for them to do this.
And TNT looks like they're going to be the TV coverage. There's most of the TV coverage with ESPN, TNT. But how about that at San Antonio, going back to UT Austin to take on the San Antonio Spurs, who could be a much improved San Antonio Spurs. But Jackson, I want you to take a look. So folks, okay, tough upfront schedule, right? So if the Suns are in the hunt, whatever seed, maybe first seed, 1 through 8 seed, when you start looking at it, I'm just going to take it from basically, let's look at March 10th throughout the rest of the year. There are some tough games. I can only see maybe 3 games out of all those games that end on April 13th. It's the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. I'll say the last 2 weeks are being extremely difficult for this Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah, I think one of them that sticks out is April 1st to April 6th. You got a tough road stretch at Milwaukee, at Boston, and at New York. You mentioned Boston, New York, going to be are favored as the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference. And you come back home and have to face a team in Oklahoma City who Last year, they were a young team, the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they only went out and got better, getting a guy in Alex Caruso on the defensive end. And then you got a home game against San Antonio and at Sacramento. And you look at that at Sacramento team, that might be a team that's on the bubble too. So, they're going to be playing their guys and try to vie out of that play-in tournament. You're right, Manuch. It's going to be a tough stretch, but in the middle of the schedule, it's when the Phoenix Suns have got to capitalize and get some of those easy wins against the teams like Charlotte and Atlanta.
What do we have? We got 16 back-to-back games. Is that what the Suns are looking at this
16
year?
back-to-backs.
16 back-to-backs. I guess 82-game schedule, not too bad. But it's also very interesting when you look at the last 2 weeks of the season. You got the Milwaukee Bucks twice. You got them on the road and at home. You've got them within a week of each other. And you pretty much – the last week and a half, you wrap up with that Eastern Conference with Milwaukee, Boston, New York. Then you got Golden State, OKC. San Antonio might be the only weak sister, if that. And then you finish it up with Sacramento. And again, I think in the Western Conference for the Phoenix Suns, I think a lot of folks are going to be very, very interested to see how Mike Budenholzer handles the big three. And with the improvements on the roster that we've seen in the offseason, having legitimate point guards this year versus, guys are going to have to come in and take over that role. Like with D-Book, doesn't really have to really worry about that per se. But I think as far as freeing up your big three and having the addition of what some of the things you want. So Bradley Beal doesn't have to be that point guard. Booker doesn't have to be the point guard. You get Tyus Jones. I think Monty Morris could fill those roles very good. But I got to tell you what, looking at this schedule right now, especially with some of I call it the long periods of great competition, they're going to need all hands on deck. And then on top of that, keep everybody healthy. The only question mark I have is that of all of them that have been healthy is can Bradley Beal last, I would say, majority of the 82-game schedule.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the addition of Tyus Jones was the icing on the cake. You got a point guard, and before the free agency even started, he was my number 1 point guard that I wanted to. And with all the second or apron rules, for him to come in and take a sacrifice pay to better himself for his career and to play for a championship team, I think is a plus for the Phoenix Suns. Some other nuggets, too, I want to mention. Their longest homestand, 6 games in 16 days. That's going to be November 18th to December 3rd. Their longest road trip is going to be 5 games in over 9 days, January 14th to January 22nd. And if you look at their schedule, January 14th to January 22nd, it's going to be pretty much the easiest part of their schedule.
Those are what we call the dog days of the NBA. Pretty much the
1 minute.
NFL is winding down.
At Atlanta, win. At Washington, win. At Detroit, win. At Cleveland, could be a little tough. At Brooklyn. And then you go home against Washington. Pretty easy schedule.
You certainly hope so. That is definitely for sure. Well, coming up, Cardinals columnist Howard Balzer weighs in on how the Cards practice are going on with the Colts. Matter of fact, there's some rain going on there. Is that what we see there, Jax?
Rain is falling.
Rain is falling. That's all next as you listen to Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 live from Twin Peaks in Scottsdale.
Wake up with the Drive. Jody Ayler tomorrow morning, 6 to 10 on Fox Sports 910 and on our free iHeartRadio app.
Behold. Here's what's trending on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix.
The Cardinals are back on the field for the second joint practice with the Colts heading into Saturday's preseason contest. The NBA released its complete season schedule. The Suns begin their season October 23rd on the road as they help the Clippers christen their new Intuit Dome. Phoenix's Footprint Center opener is the 26th against the Mavericks. Gold medal winners Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kalia Copper, and the rest of the Mercury resume their season tonight against the Chicago Sky. The D-backs gain ground of the Dodgers in the NL West on today's off day after LA's loss to the Brewers. The Snakes sit just 2 back of the division leaders. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
For tonight, look for mostly clear skies, temperatures right around 88 degrees, and then for your Friday, hot day with temperatures well above 110 with mostly sunny skies. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Ty Brennan.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school, including tech. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program. Offer ends 8/24. Save big on back to school at Staples.
Ready for some football? Join our annual Pro Football Pick'em contest today. You could win $5,000 and amazing prizes from Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. Don't miss out on the excitement. Head to fanpick'em.com. That's fanpick'em.com.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Have you been charged with a crime you didn't commit? It happens more than you think. When your liberty is on the line, you need an experienced attorney that will aggressively fight for you. Lerner & Rowe Law Group handles DUI and all other criminal charges. And with our affordable payment plans, it's easier than you think to get the defense you need. If the police made a mistake, call Lerner & Rowe today. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. Monsoon season is upon us. Be proactive today. Go to state48roofing.com. Scan the QR code below. We want to take care of you. Be proactive. Get your maintenance done. We are home of the hashtag sexy roof status.
Are you struggling with low testosterone? Metier Clinical Services has you covered. Get a 1-month supply for just $250, including your initial labs and pre-filled syringes. Visit Metier Clinical Services today and pick up your boost. No hassle, just results. Call or stop by to learn more at 602-835-2675 or visit metierclinicalservices.com. Metier Clinical Services, your solution for a healthier you starts here. Consult your healthcare provider before starting any new treatment.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating. Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with
He's ready.
State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
With Popeye's $6.99 Big Box, you can have 2 pieces of chicken or 3 chicken tenders with 2 regular sides and a biscuit. Or with our $20 Bigger Box, you get 10 pieces of chicken or 10 chicken tenders with 4 biscuits to feed your whole crew. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Sarah Spain with iHeart Women's Sports.
See if I can find
presented by
something like
Capital
Cardinals
One.
related.
In
from
NWSL news today, Zambia's
PHNX.
Grace
They're
Chanda
usually
was
good
set
about
to
this
join the
stuff.
Orlando Pride following the Olympics, but the club announced Wednesday she's been placed on the season-ending injury list. According to the Pride, Chanda ruptured her right quadriceps tendon while playing with Zambia at the Olympics. It's a blow for the Pride, who sit atop the standings in the NWSL and looked forward to her coming to the team. For more women's sports stories, subscribe to Good Game with Sarah Spain on iHeart Podcasts.
With the Venture X business card from Capital One, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/VentureXBusiness.
You're live.
Welcome back to Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B. Dan Manuch alongside with Jackson Groff out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale. Well, he's the man with the plan. He's the Cardinals NFL reporter for Cards Wire, Hall of Fame selector, and he's got co-host of his weekly Hall of Fame radio show on Sirius XM, NFL Radio, the one, the only. Howard Balzer joining us here on the right Toyota guest line. Howard, how are we doing this afternoon?
Doing good. Hope you guys are doing good too.
We are doing good. We understand that the I don't know if the Cardinals practice is getting held up. I guess it's pouring back there in Indianapolis. Have you gotten a report one way or the other? They're going to cancel, postpone, move indoors, or just play out there in the rain?
Yeah, so far they're playing in the rain from what I've seen. I know if there'd be lightning, that would affect things. I know Jonathan Gannon before practice talked about, dealing with the elements, and we'll deal with them. And he joked that Shane Steichen, the Colts coach, probably has about 8 different plans of what to do. But I know they've done a bunch in the rain, and we'll see how long it lasts. It was only supposed to be a practice of an hour and 20 minutes. But, the one thing you don't want to do is take the chance of, someone stepping wrong or slipping and pulling a hamstring or a groin or something like that. So, we'll see how this ends up being. But, they started only about a half hour ago. That was the scheduled start of practice. So we'll see if it continues to get bad and rains continually harder. I would think that, I don't know, maybe they try to wait it out a little bit. I don't know what the weather forecast is, but it would be a tough end for all the work that they were hoping, both teams really were hoping to get done in this practice today.
Well, and speaking of hoping things get done, let me back up a little bit with after the preseason game, the loss to the New Orleans Saints. what were some of the things that Jonathan Gannon and his staff wanted to learn from or extrapolate on moving forward to the practices yesterday and today and into the preseason game on Saturday?
Well, I think the big thing that they wanted to accomplish in these practices is because we saw obviously a host of starters that did not play. And I know the plan in a lot of respects was probably not to play many guys, this Saturday. And Gannon said a few times when they talked about the rotation, who's going to play, who's going to be up, who's going to be down, that a lot could depend on what happens in these practices because the starters will get a lot of reps in these practices. And in some ways, that's better, better than a preseason game because the teams have control pretty much over what happens out there. So will this change if they're not able to get as much good work as they wanted to get done today? Will they end up playing some of the starters a little bit before that? Because of that, we probably won't know until Saturday. But that could be a possibility because he was happy with what he saw from the guys that were out there on Saturday. That played with high energy and all those things. Obviously, not everything goes well, but bottom line is there's an awful lot of backups that were in that game, and a whole bunch of them are competing for jobs either on the roster or on the practice squad.
How do you assess the Arizona Cardinals right now against the Colts in a joint practice? I know it's only practice, but do you take anything from that and apply it towards what you're expecting from the season?
I don't really think you can that much. I know, the coaches like to see the guys, what the coaches want to see is the guys are doing what they're supposed to do, doing what they're coached to do. But then what happens is you have, I'm not out there, but you've got other guys from out here out there, and they'll post one clip of Greg Dortch, beating a third string cornerback, and everybody goes crazy. Or they'll post a clip of Marvin Harrison, beating a very good corner in Kenny Moore in an offensive drill, which Gannon pointed out today. Let me put on my defensive hat here. That's an offensive drill. And so the offensive guys are expected to win those. And so there's only so much I think you can truly learn. But like I said, I think a lot of it is just making sure that the guys are doing what they're supposed to, not making mental mistakes. You're going to have some of those, but then correcting them and moving on, especially when you consider, we look at this and say, hey, we're not that far away from the regular season, but they've only been in training camp. This is their 4th week of training camp. And when you add up the number of practices, it's not that many. And when you're talking about young players and rookies and all that, it takes a little time to really get comfortable and be just playing out there and thinking and not thinking rather. And so I think that's what the coaches want to have accomplished in this, because I have to believe there's going to be a lot of rookies getting a lot of snaps when this regular season begins.
Howard Balzer joins us here on the Right Toyota guest line, Fox Sports 910. And speaking of the rookies, a lot of rookies playing in the pass rush right now due to B.J. Ojulari getting hurt. I also saw Hassan Reddick requested a trade. How likely or unlikely do you see Hassan Reddick potentially getting traded to the Arizona Cardinals? What's your status on Hassan Reddick?
Even if the Jets came out, well, obviously they're not going to come out and say, yeah, we're looking to trade him. Obviously, behind the scenes, no one knows. So they're going to take that stance and see what happens. But the reality that I've tried to put out there is, because Hassan Reddick is, a very good pass rusher, there's no doubt about it. But number one, I'll say this. It's not as if B.J. Ojulari is never going to return to the field. He's going to be back next year. And the way I look at it is, even if the Jets were actively trying to deal him, there wasn't a whole lot of, action for him in the offseason, right? The Eagles didn't want to bring him back because he wants a new contract. And he's already making $14 million this year. So does it make sense? I put something on a tweet yesterday. All those people want Hassan Reddick. Tell me what would be a smart contract to give him. Because I saw Greg Moore wrote something in the Republic. Yes, they should get him. But he never mentioned what the contract was that the guy would want. A guy who's going to be 30, by the way, on September 22nd. So I put that out there, and someone said $25 million a year. That would be a good contract, right? Jeez. After this year. And I'm saying, does anybody really believe that Monty Ossenfort and the Cardinals are going to do that? I think there's two chances of that, slim and none. And they're trying to build this team a certain way, and people can disagree with that. That's fine. But they're trying to build this team a certain way with young players and bringing them in and developing them. And that's what Ojulari was and will be, hopefully, in time. And, look at Xavier Thomas. I mean, people will scoff because he was a 5th-round pick, right? But after a little slow start, getting comfortable out there, knowing what he's doing, he had some pretty good moments in that game. So can he be a guy that you'll put that'll get some reps in the rotation? Will Darius Robinson get some reps as a pass rusher? I think that's certainly going to be the case. Will Mac Wilson Sr., mostly an inside linebacker, but he's rushed the passer in the past. And so I just think they're going to go with the guys they have. Unless there was something reasonable, then perhaps they would look at it. But that's why I say I don't know if Hassan Reddick will be traded, but if he is, I would be shocked if it was to the Cardinals and to give him a new contract that would. And I know a lot of guys say, well, they've got the cap space. Well, yeah, they do, right? But all the cap space that you have this year that is still sitting there, you can roll over into next year. And do you want to spend all that cap space on a guy that's 31 next year? Or maybe do you look at some guys who are coming off their first contract that are 26 or 27 that would make a whole lot more sense of paying those guys money next year as you continue the building of this? So to me, it's smart to do it that way, but I know a lot of times fans don't look at it that way. They just want a name to come in and prove the team, as if having Hassan Reddick will be the difference in the Cardinals making the Super Bowl or not.
Howard Balzer joining us here on the right Toyota guest side. Howard, a lot of the question marks, for the Arizona Cardinals might be the backup quarterback scenario. Our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day is, who do you want to see as the Cardinals backup quarterback? Is it Clayton Tune? Is it Desmond Ridder? Or bring in a veteran quarterback? Well, so far, bringing in a veteran quarterback and Desmond Ridder are both at 42.9%. Clayton Tune bringing up the slack at 14.3%, which leads to my next question. How much emphasis are they going to put on these two individuals, Tune and Ridder, battling it out to see who the guy is? And if they're not satisfied, would they look to the marketplace?
Well, who? That's my next question. It's easy for 42% of the people to say, it's just like the point I made with Hassan Reddick. What money would you pay him? And most hardly anyone answers it. Okay, you want a veteran. Who? Who's the veteran that would be better than Desmond Ridder and Clayton Tune that don't know the offense when they come here? And so that it's easy to say, get a veteran, but it's not as if teams are just, oh yeah, there's a guy sitting out that, isn't even playing now that would be an upgrade. I don't know who that is. And I'm sure the people voting on it don't know who it is either. And so I'm a little surprised that Tune only got 14%. I don't know if people didn't watch the game Saturday night. And I know you can't put everything into that game because Desmond Ridder was playing with backups against some of the Saints starters. But he looked shaky in there. He missed some easy passes, including one that might have been a touchdown, late in the first half that he just overthrew a wide open Andre Bichella. And then, Tune played pretty well in the second half. Yes, with deep backups against backups. But I'm not saying it should be Clayton Tune, but I'm a little surprised that only 14%, said that it should be him. And so the reality is, guess what? The reality is if something would happen to Kyler Murray and you have to go to your backup, you're probably not going to win many games anyway. And so, hey, we saw that last year, right? Colt McCoy wasn't the answer. They brought in Joshua Dobbs. We saw that all he could do is basically run. And that's what it looks like to me that Desmond Ridder's best thing he does is run the football, because passing, he's just not a very consistent passer.
Heading into game 2, Howard, on Saturday, what are some areas or even key players that you're looking for to either stand out on Saturday or some guys that you're looking to step up?
Well, I'm sure, again, we're going to see a lot of the backups unless there's a change because of this practice situation. But I still don't think that Jonathan Gannon and the staff are going to want to play veterans for a long period of time. So, I think we're looking at running back. What happens there? Trey Benson had a couple of good runs. Michael Carter seems like that guy that everyone doesn't even talk about. And all he does when he gets in the game, whoever it's against, he just makes plays. And it looks like Amari DiMercato might get some snaps. He didn't play last week because of an injury. So that's one area to look at. Defensively, will Darius Robinson continue to get some snaps? I'm sure he will because he's a rookie. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Owen Pappo, who really seems to be ascending in his second year, and see what happens with the corners. Max Melton is back at practice. Will he, be able to get out there Saturday and be able to compete? So, those are some of the things that we'll be looking at. But again, I always caution this. I always say this. It's easy to say, a guy did this on this play, but who was he going against? That's the thing that makes preseason football very, very difficult to evaluate.
Howard, we always appreciate your time. We'll catch up with the next week. It's Howard Balzer, and we go on Twitter, HBalzer721. Just real quick, what are some of the things you got coming up down the line? Looking to tweet here real soon.
Well, I'm working on some stories on some of the guys that looked pretty good last week. One on Xavier Thomas. We'll probably have one on Owen Pappo, in the next few days. Also Star Thomas, who's opening some eyes and, played pretty decent football last year. And, is a starter now. We'll see if that holds up for the season. But those are some of the things working on heading towards that game Saturday, and had some stories up about Jonathan Gannon returning to Indianapolis and how much that means to him. He really had his first position coaching job with the Colts, back numerous years ago. And so, just looking at a lot of the details and a lot of the stories that hopefully people will go to and read at cardswire.usatoday.com.
That's Howard Balzer. Again, you can reach him at cardswire.usa.com and at HBalzer720. Howard, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Take care.
And Howard is courtesy of Twin Peaks Fantasy Football Kickoff. That's right, through September 5th. If you have the first overall pick, make sure you select Twin Peaks for your fantasy football draft party. Stay cool under pressure with 29-degree draft beers, bites for the whole team, plus $50 bonus card for the commish, an additional $5 bonus card for every drafter. All you have to do is just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft. Again, that's twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft. For more information, just go there once again. And also, Twin Peaks, myself, Rock, Jimmy B, want to give you a chance to win a new big screen smart TV for upcoming football season. You have to pick the size, up to 85 inches. Yes, 85 inches. All you have to do is just text Peaks to 59925. That's 59925. Enter daily. Standard message and data rates apply. Enter now for a new big screen TV up to 85 inches. Again, just text Peaks to 59925. Thanks to Twin Peaks and Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, right here on Fox Sports 910. Well, coming up, we'll put a wrap on it. We'll see what's on tap. Little football at 50, and we'll give you our results of today's State 48 Roofing. It's your call question of the day. It's Manuch. It's Jax out here at Twin Peaks in Scottsdale as you listen to Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B right here on Fox Sports 910.
Valley traffic from the Valley Toyota Dealers Traffic Center.
Got a collision off right on I-17 northbound near Union Hills Drive involving multiple vehicles. Also on I-10 westbound near 7th Avenue, you've got another accident there off left. And on Indian School Road west of 40th Street, got a collision there as well. I'd look out for units on scene in those areas.
This report is sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Play social games online for free. Head to ChumbaCasino.com now to join the Chumba fun and experience the thrill of the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Twin Peaks wants to upgrade your home viewing experience with a new big screen TV. Enter for a chance to win your choice of a smart TV up to 85 inches by texting Peaks to 59925. Standard message and data rates may apply. That's Peaks to 59925.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
Tune in Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. for the Crest Insurance Group Sun Devil Report with Coach Charlie Ragle. Crest Insurance. Coverage you can trust, service you can count on. Every Thursday on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
What's wrong? My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation. Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card? Uh-huh. Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase. Really? Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
It's Thursday, and the guys are live at Twin Peaks Scottsdale, located on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in the 101.
Put on my defensive hat now and say that that's an offensive drill. But yeah, I mean, Kenny Moore, I was had him for 3 years, really good player. So, yeah, I think Marvin's just trying to improve his game every day. I think it's cool for him, all our receivers, to go against different DBs. Kenny's looks one way, and then the next guy he goes against looks the complete opposite way. So that's good, because that's what it's going to be week in and week out, on Sunday. So good to get the exposure to that in these 2 days. Put on my defensive hat now and say that.
That's the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, talking about how that was a offensive drill, that a lot of those drills that are all set up are set to have success by the offense. We've been talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. benefiting from a variety of different NFL quarterbacks, but that is our Learn and Roll one call. That's all. Interact, need a check, make one call. That's all at 602-977-1900, and always at learnandroll.com. They can help get a free consultation. Again, one call. That's all at 602-977-1900. All right, Jacksonville football 50. Any headlines? Has the trade been made yet for one Brandon Ayuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, it is not. So we have no big news. But the Eagles-Patriots, that game starts in about 8 minutes for all those preseason fanatics or those sports gambling degenerates. The New England Patriots are favored by 3. According to reports, Jacoby Brissett will be getting the start for the Patriots, but Drake May is expected to have extended action. He'll be going up against Kenny Pickett and the boys of the Eagles.
Big news out of Buffalo, Jax. They lost their top linebacker. Pretty much going to be out for the. Well, I don't know if he's going to be out for the year, one way or the other. If I stop and think about that, but I think that some of the things. So break us down what's going on there in Buffalo, and some of the other happenings there around the National Football League, at least for training camp today.
Yeah, Matt Milano, like you mentioned, he'll be out for a majority of the time with a torn bicep. Matthew Judon and Jeffrey Simmons, the talented safety from the Broncos, have both been acquired. Justin Simmons by the Falcons, those being in the last 24 hours. J.J. McCarthy, as we know, he's out for the season with a torn meniscus. Brandon Ayuk, nowhere to be found. Just like Jamar Chase, nowhere to be found. Right now, it's a lot of holdouts, Manuch, and a lot of preseason football is our football.
Well, they got the hold-ins and the holdouts. CeeDee Lamb still has not reported to the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones misses him. I think his fines, they said something, they were up to the effect like $1.2 million for all the time he's missed a training camp. I don't understand, Dallas Cowboy fans, what your owner's looking to do. Is this going to be a last-second salvo that he finally gives him extension? So it just seems like the receiver divas are going strong. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, which I think is deserving. Chase, that's question mark. Brandon Ayuk, I don't know what he's waiting for. There's the offer on the table again with the trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, the new offer on the table from the San Francisco 49ers. And with Milano being out for the Buffalo Bills, that's a huge loss. That's a benefit for the Arizona Cardinals.
2
That's gonna be
minutes.
the opening game that they're going to have. But this much maligned Buffalo Bills defense, and you look at the corners and safeties that are gone, rebuilt secondary. You just can't afford to lose a Milano, who by far is one of the best linebackers in the National Football League.
Our State 48 Roofing, it's your call question of the day. You can go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter and vote. Who do you want to see as the Cardinals' backup quarterback? The options are Clayton Tune, Desmond Ridder, or bring in a veteran quarterback. The winner is tied. Desmond Ridder and bring in a veteran quarterback at 37.5% apiece, followed by Clayton Tune at 25%.
And you think about that, and having Howard Balzer on and H Balzer 721. Stop and think about that. Okay, if there's a decent, solid backup quarterback that's out there and available, where is he? And if he's a decent, solid backup quarterback, nobody's going to give him up. So you think about how valuable good, solid backup quarterbacks are with experience. Those are guys that aren't going to come around easily unless there's somebody on the streets, which I don't know of anybody that's out there on the streets right now that the Cardinals would bring in that would be the league minimum.
The only one I looked at was Ryan Tannehill, but he's going to want more money than the league minimum. But you're right. I mean, last year, the amount of quarterbacks that played, I think it was like 50 or 55 quarterbacks. So there's going to be injuries to happen. It's just a matter of, do they go out and get someone now? Do they wait to see who gets cuts? It's definitely something that Howard Balzer was spot on about.
Let's into what's on tap, brought to you by the Roc and Manuch Lager and Amber. Amber located at Arena Sports Grill in Scottsdale. The Amber and the Sportsbook in CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, along with Upper Crust in Phoenix. Well, you just mentioned the Eagles at the Patriots. That's coming up here at 4 o'clock on NFL Network. MLB, the Twins at the Rangers. That'll be 5 o'clock on FS1. Coming up tomorrow from Wright Toyota, we catch up with the Rattlers head coach Kevin Guy, sports handicapper Scott Spreitzer, a former Cardinals head coach and now Titans radio analyst, that being Dave McGinnis. So for our good buddy Richie back at the fine studios, Jax, good job filling in. For all the folks out here at Twin Peaks of Scottsdale, come on by and watch all of your sports activities. I'm Manuch. Join us again